Action.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I ain't Connor Cockings and wow, everything is in the red because I move things for a thing. Let's see how loud we sound in reality.
Oh goodness, I hope it's not too loud.
Well, maybe. Well, now I'm in the green a little bit. You're in the. Let's see how we sound.
Yeah, tell me, how is it? Tell me. Tell me the words. What? I am saying things, obviously. Jeez, man.
Pretty close. Okay, I think you're. As I am talking to the other you.
Raj says we both sound good, so there you go.
Still a little bit loud. Okay.
I sound louder, but that's okay. I should.
Narrative a success. Hi.
Yes. Hi, how you doing?
I'm okay. I just got finished watching Q Who, so I can't be that bad, can I?
Q Who? Oh man, I haven't seen that for a long time.
Well,
should probably rewatch that sometime.
I mean, it would be a good idea. Do you want to restart? I mean,
oh, we were supposed to watch it. We were supposed to watch it for today. Oh,
I mean, I can do my first hour review. You go watch it quickly and come back. Or have you actually prepared, Stuart? Because I feel like you might be playing some confusing game. Oh my goodness!
Look at all the notes. I got lots of notes.
Cool.
Look at them all.
Yeah, I have more. It's funny. Last thing we did, I took barely any. Yeah, the 2-part Mandalorian took basically a page in 2 episodes, and this I have 3.5, 4 pages of notes. So, how's something?
Mm-hmm. Well, do you want to share this around, and I will spread the good word about super chats and things.
I can. See you in a moment.
Yes. So, guys, you know the drill. He's going to share this around, get some more people in here, hopefully. We had a bunch of people in yesterday for our talk about the Picard shuttle, up to 100 and... I forget how many now, but a lot. And today we got 38 by the looks of it so far, but hopefully when he shares, we'll get some more. But if you guys want to help us out, and I know you do because you're here, you can feel free to super chat, guys. Super chats are a great way to help out the channel and support us. Let us know that you love us and also get your question or your voice heard. Be part of the community. Have your name in lights, as it were, because it lights up all different colors depending on the PayPal amount, or the super chat amount. You can also PayPal though, but it's a great way to ask us questions and get your comment read on the air or your question answered. And another way is PayPal. As I was talking about, the information for that is in the description down below, description of all of our videos. Plus, you can help us out on a monthly basis by going to Patreon or just indulge yourself a little bit. Go to the Eagle Moss link down below. Use the discount code Trekyards to save yourself some money. Get some Eagle Moss stuff. Get some Teespring stuff. There's some Trekyards merchandise down below as well, and all the other fun stuff. And of course, make sure you liked the video and that you're subscribed to the channel. So there you go. Hit the like button. Make sure that you guys are being part of the community and helping out any way you can. And one of the easiest way to do that is just by watching and hitting that like button. And perhaps sharing. If you want to share the video around, even after the fact, after the live is over, it's still a great way to get people introduced to the channel and to the commander and me. Not that you'd want to do that to anybody because that's just cruel and unusual punishment, but it does help. And Dan23 says, hi. No, I never got a notification, but this video, I had no clue it was on or coming today. Oh, it's been scheduled for most of the day, so that's just a shame that you didn't get a notification there.
It's going to be a while. I'm just going to go to my profile because my neck hurts a little bit. Back in a second.
Okay. So I get more alone time with you folks. Before Dad comes home. But yeah, today, tomorrow, and Thursday are probably going to be Next Generation episode reviews. And Friday will be the new Picard short, Children of Mars. We'll do a review of that guy then. So, of that short then. And then we'll see what next week holds. I'm not exactly 100% sure about that, but we want to try to get some of these done before Picard starts, because otherwise I'm not sure, because we might have lots of ships to talk about, I hope, a lot of other things to talk about and break down in Picard. So we're going to be pretty busy once it starts. So can we get on with this, says Christopher Rollins? We can. Just waiting for Samuel here. So We always like to let people filter in, Christopher. So yeah.
Well, it's a pre-show. If we started and then people went back, like, oh, I'll go back and watch
exactly.
it. But,
And a great way to start. We got $100 PayPal from Ian Warrender, who's one of our admins on the.
Well, Merry Bloody Christmas to us, and thank you. That's incredibly kind.
So he says there's a tonal shift. Exactly, yeah. So his message is there's a tonal shift of what Star Trek is that happens in this episode, where we go from luxury cruise liner to that needs to solve the weekly problem to, oh shit, these could really hurt someone. I often wonder if the Borg was made too powerful, as there's no way they hadn't conquered the galaxy. But here in this episode, as a kick in the balls for the Federation arrogance, it works.
All true. It's funny to see them talk about continuity a little bit. If only they'd used it a bit more, you know. If they had known that there's 7 seasons, they could have planned a 7-season arc with the Borg and really like made it like that could have been incredible. That's obviously absurd because it would never happen. But I mean that, you know. But yeah, it was the start of something greater, and it's amazing how then it makes you realize the Romulans when they appeared, you know, we're back, and you're like, cool. Have they done anything yet? No. You know what I mean? And compared to this, it feels a bit lackluster, even though that was played off as the big thing. This was their second go around at the very similar, like, tonal thing, just more dark. Yeah. So do click like, everyone. 49 likes.
I've already gone over all that.
Well, I'm saying to click. But with 86 people, what do you think then, Stuart? And not that you remember watching the first time round, because no, you're too young. But I mean, do you remember any early impressions for this episode? What are your
I do remember this. I do remember this one first time round.
Oh, well, there you go.
This one made a big impact because I was like, oh my god, these things are unstoppable. Look at how the ship is fixing itself. That was such a cool effect to see the sprues be moving back and forth. I didn't think it would. I mean, it left kind of a sense of foreboding at the end where they're like, well, now they know about you guys, so they're on their way. But they had already mentioned earlier in the episode, this is exactly what happened to the outpost along the neutral zone. So the Borg have already kind of been skirting the edges of our space anyway.
But the fact is we know that they can transwarp into any part of our quadrant anyway. So it's not, you know, it's all a choice, isn't it? They chose to do some things and then left. It's not like they now know we're here. They've known you were here the entire time. They just
exactly
don't care necessarily. And I think Annika Henson, she's already Borgified. They already have the Raven's entire database in the Federation. So like, they already know about the Federation completely. They just don't care yet.
Yeah. Jeff Jacobs, though, puts in $2.50. 50 likes in under 10 minutes. Great start. # make Jeff pay. Keep going, guys. 92 of you here, which is a great number. So everybody make sure you hit that like button. And Eugene throws in our first non-moderator super chat of the day of 500 rubles. There is no We Are the Borg in this episode, is there? No, there isn't. And it's a glaring omission in my opinion.
Instead, there's a You'll Be Punished. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Been a bad Federation. Come here, trousers down.
So
and also Thribis says didn't think they were like the Cybermen. I bet most British people did. And there's a little bit of that, but because they look different and they're more similar, but there's enough different, I think, to be different. Sorry, but so you had a pre-existing.
Yeah, so I remember being like wondering how they were ever going to stop these guys, and then they came back in Best of Both Worlds, and I remember that as well, being like, "Oh, good God, that cliffhanger was intense." I got to say that. So yeah, this one did make an impact on me, and I've always enjoyed this one. I didn't remember how much I enjoyed this one, but yeah, this is definitely a standout episode in all of Trek for me. So
you found it different watching it in this context, really like. Actually genuinely giving 100% of attention, thinking about it, was it a different experience?
A little bit, yeah. I forgot how, not that he's in it much, but how much Q is in this one. I didn't really remember, just if you just asked me about the first time that they met the Borg, I would say, yeah, Q snapped him there. The whole episode is about the Borg, and then he snaps him back.
It's really not.
So kind of weird memories of it, but yeah. It was an interesting experience this time around. So
cool. And then what's your review then of said of this episode? You just give more like an actual feel.
I thought I just did. I liked it. It's great. Everybody's on point. Good action, good pacing. Again, terrifying villain. Good introduction to them. Q is back and he's being his normal self, so that's good. We got some more Guinan, which is fantastic, and a new character that's kind of like, I thought it'd be somebody that might be interested in Geordi and might actually, become kind of a regular person, but definitely doesn't. But it's a refreshing change of pace to see somebody lower deck style just joining the ship and the bad first impressions and things. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in this one, and it was a good ride.
Cool. So my previous remembrances, this is one I've genuinely gone back and rewatched, which for me isn't that many. This is one I can do that. There's enough to enjoy in this one to just go back and rewatch it. That's I've never just gone through and analysed it, so this was a very different experience for me, and I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of bits, not all positive. A lot of things I saw, not necessarily called negatives, but things I saw, which are pretty interesting. Like I say, there's a lot of notes, a lot of thoughts. But yeah, it's obviously it's an iconic one, and it's one of those ones that you remember me saying previously. There's that CD of famous clips that you can play. I think might be on the Captain's Bridges thing, and this is one of those clips where it's healing, torpedoes, like that clip, that music. As soon as that started, I'm like, oh, this is from my childhood. Yep, this moment. I've seen that a billion times. But it's definitely different, and I think this is not. People remember this episode for different reasons, because, like you said, Q's in it way differently. I think people realise the fact that if you took out one scene, like the first 7 minutes is about this lady. No one remembers that. No one would call that out for this episode. But this episode is damn packed. It feels longer than 48 minutes.
It does feel longer, yeah.
And it's a very interesting bit of filmmaking, with a lot of tonal things. But it is good, obviously. But I saw a lot more in this one than I thought I was going to.
Well, Jarzia, though, throws in $5 Canadian.
Yes.
If the Borg got the transmission sent in regeneration, would they know about future encounters with Starfleet from the memories of the First Contact sphere drones? It's an interesting question. It's a very interesting question. That whole thing breaks the whole timeline, and that's why it could be that the going back in First Contact created an alternate timeline that Enterprise is part of. So, well, it's hard to say.
I mean, it works fine if it links into the earlier appearance on the neutral zone, but all I said was a signal. I never got the interpretation that it was literally sending gigabytes of data across the galaxy. It was just SOS, minimal signal, Borg, come along. So there was no information. That was the impression I got from the episode. They were just sending a help us, and if only they had a proper receiver, then they could just transwarp there in 5 seconds. But because they had to go sublight, the simple way, it took so long. And by that time, I could perfectly justify could it get corrupted. Who knows what the data is going past as it goes by, how many black holes, how many stuff and all that could corrupt its signal. So it might have either not got there or got there and be slightly garbled. It's just like, come, whatever. Yeah, I'm being trying to be funny there, but
Yeah. Judge 1981 throws in $5. Who know what this episode? Who knew at the episode at the time this would define so much more Trek from here on? Exactly, right? I mean, this was supposed to be introduced in the neutral zone episode, instead of the Romulans kind of thing, but
yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff. But I do think they must have known a little bit, because look at what you've got in this episode. You've got Whoopi Goldberg coming in, major part. That's their big star power. You've brought back guest star John Delancey, fan favourite. You've got Will Wheaton as well. He's on set. You've also got new miniature, new set. I mean, there's a lot of production going into this one compared to other ones. I think they knew this is going to be a big one because we're all of our heavy hitters for this one. So I think they probably were thinking this could be, this could be our Ferengi again.
Yeah, Ferengi done right.
Because if you think about what they got, they also got, all the budget, all the makeup, all the, you know what I mean? Similar vein, just different way. But shall we begin, Stuart?
Yes, we shall.
Starting the Borg story, there's a hot chocolate story.
Someone being nice to a replicator, saying please. Which is something I just naturally assume Geordi would do with the way he talks to computers. But no, Geordi immediately slaps her down and says, we don't usually say please to food dispensers around here.
Not replicators. The Spencers.
Yes. So I found that kind of odd that he would say that, because the way he talks to computers, I would definitely assume he'd say please. I think he does say please and thank you to the computer later on. Anyway, in other seasons. But anyway, we find out that her name is Selena Gomez. No, Sonia Gomez. Mm-hmm. Selena Gomez was a singer. And she's excited to be there. Kind of nervous, a little bit Tilly-esque, it's kind of that Tilly vibe. Kind of nervous and
but more professional.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. Well, not really. She got hot chocolate and engineering.
Yes, but Tilly makes poop jokes. Tilly swears at things. I mean, Tilly is the less professional and more funny end of the spectrum. This woman is trying to be professional, but also in a non-professional way. It's as far as they go for then, and it comes across as she actually earned her place here. She's really nervous. Tilly's like, she was ripped out of the academy 2 years early because she actually was. And now she's being forced to do really important things, but she's not really ready for that. Learn on the job.
Yes. Anyway, as she turns around, I expected her, because they had the conversation, are you sure you should have that engineering? She's like, oh, probably not. I expected her to run into the table or something. I completely forgot she bumps into the captain.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. She starts walking.
Damn, that was a good catch.
I know, right? She turns around, slams into the captain, and I love how Geordi takes all responsibility for it. He's like, no, if anything, it's my fault. It's my fault.
And then she subsequently dabs his chest and/or penis.
Yeah, I guess.
She dabs a lot. She just wants to fill up with captain. I mean, that's the most he's been touched in years, Stuart.
Since his last physical with Dr. Crusher.
Yeah, Lasky's not in this one. I guess they didn't bring all the guest stars in.
No. Well, we find out she's a recent graduate and she transferred from Starbase 173. If that matters to anybody, I just thought I'd point that out because they did reference it. So, but yeah, she's basically told that she needs to relax and just calm down. Yeah, great scene. And totally out of left field. It's very much like a lower decks kind of feel to it. And the whole time I'm thinking, whenever anything like this happens on a set like this, I'm like, how the hell are they going to get that out of the carpet? Do they put something down under the actors?
That'd be easier. Yeah, I'd assume so. That'd be
because there's a lot of times where you see like blood or whatever. It's like, do they replace that part of the carpet if you get the shot down and it's on the carpet? The odd scene you'll see is stained from some time earlier, but.
And you can't really steam clean it because it would destroy all the cardboard sets.
I wouldn't be wrecking my sets if I was...
Captain, yes! The steam is wilting the console. Oh no! Maximum power to engines. So my thoughts on this. I mean, this is... In terms of tonal, this is completely opposite to everything we get later on. This is... They're trying to lure us in to false sense of security here. It's nice. It's friendly. It's
another day at the office.
But it isn't as well, because why would you even have a drink in work, in the engine room? Like, it shows how she just is not even thinking about what she's doing. She's just being herself. And that's lovely, but she really shouldn't be. But to think this shifts into Borg, you wouldn't even... You know what I mean? It's so odd. But it's great. It's a really nice start, I think. I think she does a great job. She should have been in more. I know she's in a couple more, or at least one. But she really does well in this. She has a strong personality. And they give her a lot of time to shine. I mean, she has more time than Troy had in the pilot, almost. You know, I mean, she's actually given a full length of time to do this. And it's, she comes across... And Geordi has a great chemistry with her, kind of like... Because, she, as I said, she says... I know she says it later on, but the vibe here is pretty fun, actually.
Well, SP Freely puts in £5 and says, Sonia Gomez, hey, Geordi, you want to have some fun? And that's a reference for all those fans of Total Recall. You know what I'm talking about.
We do want to have fun. I like how Picard walks down there to do something, because he could just communicate via but he's kind of see them. He's like, I'll go change then.
Mm-hmm.
But he could have said, I had stuff to talk. Yeah, and I would appreciate if he said, Geordi, at least do the thing. Something about doing some sort of command. But no, it's fun. And her patting, I bet they did that a few times, and they just said to the actress, just keep going. Amp it up. We're not going to tell Patrick, just do it, and his uncomfortableness is going to read by not telling him, and she does, and he's like, oh my god, this woman. It plays so well. But he's also not grumpy Picard. He's that fine line of what the hell is this woman doing to not grumpy man. I appreciate that.
141 people here. Everybody hit like. That's an amazing number. Let's get us up to 100 likes. Everybody make sure you're subscribed as well. And Laughable Larry throws in $1.99 and says, is this the only episode she appears in? I don't think so. I think she's in one other one at least. And people were talking in the chat earlier. She's in some novels and beta canon, of course, and she becomes a captain at some point. So
yeah, I think she's in like 2 as a character and 1 as like a happens to be there still. And yes, definitely, replica engineering feels a bit odd, but I mean, if you need a quick snack, just eat it outside in the hallway.
Yeah, well, I thought the same thing. It's like, why is it here if you're not allowed to have anything in the... I mean, you are, if it's for the late night sessions when Geordi's down there working hard on a problem. It's not for like a new ensign. Yeah.
But to be fair, though, just having water, I mean, it'd be nice if it was just limited to water, because, I mean, you still got to hydrate throughout the day. They're not carrying bottles of water in their backpacks, in their pockets, are they? They're not going to walk to, you know what I mean? So I guess there must be some sense of... they're in like a water cooler. Well, that is the water cooler. Just people sit down by a replicator and have a drink of water and gab.
Yeah. We'll talk about the mission last week. So...
Yeah. Literally an earshot of the chief engineer, because it's the same corridor. But it's a fun scene. It's silly. And yeah, Geordi's taking responsibilities is adorable, because it's like... It's fine. You take responsibility. It's fine, Geordi. Calm down.
And Austin Vera says she's in Samaritan Snare.
There you go. That's the next one.
Is it the next one? Oh, very good.
These scenes obviously could have been filmed back to back in other scenes because they're just out of context. And last thing, I thought it was a bit odd that he didn't recognize her. Like he didn't I guess he doesn't have to, because Geordi said he asked for her. But I guess the captain doesn't actually have to approve all the transfer orders, because he should at least know vaguely who she is.
Well, if his chief engineer is suggesting it, it's on his list that he signs off on. So it's like, Geordi's, it's fine. Riker would probably know who she was, because he has to. That's kind of his job. Yeah. To make sure he knows everybody that's coming on board.
But I actually kind of liked the lack of knowing who she is. It's like, it's a big crew. I mean, doesn't need to know everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. Then you get
it leads.
Then you get a weird wide-angle lens. The only weird distorted view, which just tells us a weird thing's going to happen, but then it doesn't continue. It's quite strange.
Yeah, he heads for the turbolift, and all of a sudden, the turbolift opens, and he's on. Welcome to shuttlecraft number 6, Captain. Great transition. So, and I love how Q is even like, let me clean that for you. And you're like, the whole time I'm thinking, how uncomfortable would it be standing in that when it's getting, going from warm to cold to just wet. It's like, ugh. Yeah. So, very nice. We got another PayPal apparently from Jarzia. So let me read that.
And this was weird because they obviously built the second half of the shuttle, and it feels like such a second, last minute, we'll just throw some things together. It's not even really a set, it's just some flats.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see, but it's the opposite of functional space. You know what I mean? But it looks like they might have upgraded the front of the cockpit, because that's, from that point, it feels kind of nice. There's lots of things going on, and they definitely put a little bit of money into refurbing the set for this sequence. We only ever saw, facing back, really. So, it looked nicer, but the back's quite disappointing.
Well, yeah, shuttle. We got a super chat, or not a super chat, a PayPal from Jarzia.
Thank you.
$5 Canadian. Fun fact, those spandex uniforms had a tendency to retain odor like crazy. That uniform smelled like chocolate until it was retired, I'm sure. Then again, that would be an improvement after almost 2 years of 12 to 16 hours shooting days, sweating in those things. The costumes stank like crazy. No matter how much they cleaned them, they still smelled. That's wonderful.
Luckily, after that many hours, you're used to it.
You just don't care at a certain point. You're just like, oh, let's just get this day done.
You gotta be in the part. Be in the part.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yes, back and so tile sequence, and then we're back with this woman, and it's like, oh, we go from the captain being kidnapped by the ultimate entity in the universe to, hello, average crew member again. That transition's a bit odd to me, because you think kind of the pre-tile sequences are fun and out of context, but it's like, oh, back to her. I guess she's a major character. I mean, it's nice. It's a good scene, but it's like, oh.
Well, one thing Q does say is
All
Picard
right.
tries to do something first before the shuttle scene's over. And he's like, the locator beam won't work. They won't think of looking for you this far away. We have no idea how far away that is, but it's farther than a ship can travel at, sublight. So,
Well, he says, you promised never to visit me on the ship again. I didn't. You're off the ship. And it's like, oh, you bastard. That's funny.
yeah, and keeping me here as a prisoner will not compel me to discuss anything with you.
Yes. No, some of the dialogue here is really like slicey good. Like it's on point. There you go.
And Ginkgo Yoki puts in $2. It's a British shuttle, driver on the right. Anyway, so yeah, Geordi and this lady are wandering to 10 forward, and he's talking about, you just need to relax, you need to chill out. We'll take you down there. Just don't be so uptight. It's fine. And she's like, well, or he says, why are you so focused? And she's like, you have to be focused to be here. That's the only reason I got assigned the Enterprise, because I want to be the best of the best. So I don't have time to be anything else.
We kind of hear that story a lot throughout the season, so it kind of rung a little bit hollow here because we hear it a lot. But I like the drive. But I mean, you would think, wasn't that exactly what Geordi did? I mean, didn't Geordi also try really hard to get this assignment? I know he's been here for a while, but I mean, that's the origin story of all these people, surely. But he's like, you're so young, you're so driven. Yeah, it's a good indicator of if you really, really work hard, you're going to get places. It's just a good moral of the story, really. It's just like, you can relax, because now you've made it. You'll be here for at least a year. Chill. So let's go get a drink. We're off duty, let's go get a drink. Does it not feel a little bit like he's asking out on a date? Like, just
yes. That's why I was like, and the way they were talking, she's like, seems kind of enamored with him as well. Not just because he's the chief engineer, but you kind of get that feeling. So yeah.
Well, she calls him Geordi and stuff. I mean, it's a potential seed of chemistry.
Yeah.
Which I actually kind of appreciate. I mean, taking your brand new ensign out for a drink, who you personally asked for. I mean, it could just be a nice thing to welcome to the ship. And I wish he kind of said, "We're gonna sit down and have a talk. I want to get to know you for the ship." Just kind of like, we're gonna go have a long chat, you and me.
Something in your eye. Are you okay?
I'm absolutely fine.
Okay, good. All right, so we are in 10 forward. We see Guinan talking to somebody, and she just randomly walks away from him. And the poor guy's sitting at the bar like, what? And she goes to the window, and she looks out, and she looks quite concerned, goes back to the bar and the little communicator thing, and messages the bridge. And I love this. It's just like a regular day at the office. It's like, is everything all right up there? Yeah, everything's fine. Why? So it was good. It's good. It's like, why is Guinan contacting the bridge? It's usually never a good thing. It's the first time it's happened. But, yeah.
This was kind of strange because you kind of forget Guinan's in the show. I think at the time, the press of Whoopi in the show would be enough to, like... It's like if Will Smith was in Star Trek Picard, you wouldn't forget he was in it. You'd be like, oh, when's he in it again? The stardom factor, but obviously now we're used to her being in the show, so you sort of forget she's in the season until she pops up again. So obviously they're saving her appearances carefully because she could have been in several other episodes. But it's such a we're going to give her superpowers. We're going to give her this sense that we haven't really had implied yet. It's setting up this backstory we never get anything with. Not a darn sausage. She's like Yoda. Nothing. Nope.
Yeah.
She's called an Elorian.
That's fine with me.
That's it. And that's fine with me too. but it's a hell of a there's something afoot sequence.
Mm-hmm. We got a really short scene with Picard and Q in the shuttle again. Just kind of, well, yeah. I don't have any notes for it, so it's not important. It's just kind of them saying, hey, you're out here, so deal with it. Then we go back to the ship, and Geordi's like, Guinan, yo, are you all right? She's like, yeah, I suppose.
Not really, as
yeah. And then Counselor Troy comes on, and for some reason, she's like, where's the captain? I mean, she randomly just checks on his thoughts, I guess. Sounds kind of creepy. Because they didn't listen to Guinan to see if anything's out of the ordinary. Well, they did. Worf looked at his panel. But apparently the missing shuttle wasn't showing up then. But it sure as shit shows up now. There's a shuttle missing from Shuttle Bay 2. And then Wesley speaks up and he's like, how could he have taken a shuttle without us knowing it's impossible?
Shut up, Wesley, was the response.
I wish.
In essence.
Kind of, I guess. Jeff, I know there is a PayPal. I just have not. It hasn't come through yet, so just waiting on that.
Takes a few seconds.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Just came in.
Speak of the devil.
Ted Mintz sends $3.74.
Thank you.
The original Borg ship matte painting didn't hold up for HD, so they made a brand new one in CG for the remaster with moving Borg Borns in the background. I think you mean Borg drones, but.
Because I just watched that and it looked very similar. Obviously, it's going to look similar. I'll have to compare the two then. Interesting.
Yeah.
It didn't look CG to me. I mean, I also see CG. So, but then again, they'd probably look cheaply CG because they're not going to spend the thousands of dollars to make it look actually good CG because that would be more than the cost of an episode.
Mm-hmm.
I will look at that in a minute. You kind of skipped over a small note in this sequence. Because when did you watch this?
This morning.
Okay, yeah. 5 minutes ago. No, in this sequence, it's weird because this is the point when we're back on the drink sequence. This is where the lady then stops being really part of it. You know, she's a big focus currently, and then she isn't really. But he's like having a drink with her. They sort of they end a mini conversation, and then Guinan comes over because he asks, "What's wrong?" Nothing. And then Geordi basically stands up and says, "Well, I'll go check engineering." And the girl's like, "I'll go too." And they awkwardly walk away. And Whoopi's like, And it's like, but they're off duty now. So it feels a bit strange, tonally. It's like, I'll go check at engineering, because I need to be somewhere else. But I think he's responding to her concern, because if something's wrong, it could be engineering. So I guess her... I'm assuming Deanna's sensing Guinan's confusion?
Possibly. And then Geordi's, if he's heading there. So maybe.
Because when you put them side by side, it feels like the crew is starting to work out. But you're right, it doesn't. It's random.
Yeah. Laughable Larry puts in $1.99. Why did Q take a shuttle and not create his own? That's a very good question. Because he's Q. And he wanted to mess with everybody by having a missing shuttle. Who knows?
Yeah, why would Q make a new one and he just steal their one? I mean, it's the same snap. It's no more effort either way. I mean, it's whatever he thought. It's just what he thought of at the time. Yeah. Why not make Picard naked in a bath? Oh, that's later. From Captain.
Yes.
Yes, and then you get this weird... Yeah, I didn't like Wesley saying, it's impossible! Because he's so non-anything in the sequence. It's like, yeah, no shit, Wesley. Why are you asking this? The guy doesn't know. We've got no more information. It's just the audience line. Oh no! Q, the ultimate being that we met in earlier seasons! Yeah, I know, Wesley, I was there. Sorry, sir! It's like, yeah, thanks. Should have cut that line, really. Personally.
Well, what they don't know is Q. They don't know that yet.
About the shuttle, it's like, we know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, it's the same sort of line. They should have cut that.
Yeah.
But it gives him his one line, pretty much, so...
Birdo Prey 5 puts in $2.
Welcome back. Hello.
Was Geordi on a date? Nah, it's debatable. He was trying to ease the new ensign in, you know.
He was just like the Borg. He was on an early scouting mission. That's the symbology. That's the subtext. The whole episode is a parallel. Human scouting and cybernetic scouting. And in fact, Q scouting, you could argue. See? All wrapped up in a neat bow. Thank you. The hidden meaning has been discovered after 25 years. We did it, Stuart. We did it.
No, you and Bird of Prey 5 did it. I still think you're full of shit. I'm just kidding.
Speaking of full of shit, so they instantly go to action. They say,
oh, yes.
Go.
Implement search pattern.
Yes, yes. And then it cuts from that to they're at sublight.
6 hours later.
But the way it's shot, go!
Yeah. Well, it's a search pattern. You're not going to go very fast. You want to take your time.
Why not? Why not warp to the... I think that's the opposite. You would go fast. Instead of furthest distance in the shortest amount of time for a pre-warp, for a sub-warp thing. You warp quickly there. You do a scan, warp there.
Honestly, if you're looking for a sublight shuttle, I would just start slow and start moving out in a circle. I wouldn't be warping like from with the scanners running. I'd try to make sure that I got everything.
Okay, well, that's different to our captaining then. But it's such a weird edit to say, go! And then
Well,
it's
then
6 hours later. It just plays really weirdly.
Well, yeah. But then they're back on the shuttle, and
he's playing ball. Love it.
Yeah. How long are we going to do we need to stay here? Days, weeks, months? I'm ageless, Picard. You are not.
6 hours with this guy not talking to him in a confined space. Oh dear.
Yeah. And I love Picard like, well, the Enterprise will go on with Riker as captain. It's like, all right, cool. Yeah, chill out. Trying to be trying to be all tough and arrogant and just not giving in to Q doesn't really work here. Joseph Petrick, though, puts in €2. Thank you very much. Good episodes. Draw audience. Still 150 is possible. Actually, yes, 150 likes is possible. We have 167 of you here. Everybody hit like, guys. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Click like.
We get Picard basically demanding, return me to my ship. And I love the transition to just shuttle, boop, 10 forward.
It's really good.
Yeah, really well done.
It is basically seamless. Well, I find the idea of this scene a little bit daft because, take me back. Well, I'll take you back if you listen to what I was going to say. Okay then. So you just give Q what you wanted in the first scene. It's like it seems like a victory, but it isn't. It's just Q wore you down to saying yes, like you wanted. Like,
yeah. If I do, will you agree to give my request a full hearing? Yes. Good.
That's what I wanted. Thanks.
Exactly.
Like it's quite disingenuous. Like you do what I want, I'll do what you want. Okay, then we're both in the same place. Just feels a bit. But I still love the dialogue. There's really good, like sharp, meaty dialogue, especially with these two. And yeah, the transition's beautiful. And what a good set. I mean, we're gonna see this in Picard. It's kind of nice then to have a whole set of sequences in this set to kind of re-embrace it before we get to see it in the flashbacks of Picard or the nightmares. It's cool.
Jeff Jacobs puts in $2.03. That's 107 likes, 170 watching. Let's get to 150. Hashtag make Jeff pay. You guys heard it here first. Make Jeff pay. And Eugene puts in 500 rubles. Thank you very much. Why Q is afraid of Guy? They never explain it. It's just she's an Elorian. She has some kind of powers.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, set up the sequence. What happens then?
She does this.
Yes,
that's terrifying.
And he does this even though there's no reason to, because why? It's like it's going to do force lightning even though he snaps. So what is this going to do?
Don't know.
Feels like a sorcerer moment where people didn't actually watch. They're like, how do we represent two powers fighting when neither have the need to use hands?
Well. Yeah. Well, before that, though, there's a real quick flashback to the bridge. And it's like, the shuttle, not a flashback.
Cut to.
Transition. Cut to. I don't give a shit. I don't do the terms. It's the thing. They're on the bridge for a second. Since I watched the past, it's a flashback. The shuttle is back, and Picard is in 10 forward. And then Riker just gets this stupid smirk on his face, like, yeah, he's back. I can stop looking now.
Yeah, it's a really long edit as well.
I know. It's really dwelled on. Jarzia puts in $2 Canadian. He isn't afraid of Guinan. He's afraid of her hat.
Yeah. I mean, do you have
she could be hiding anything under there.
I mean, do you have any memory of what you thought watching this, seeing Guinan, who you've seen twice before, and this all-powerful being?
That, no, but I remember, after the fact, thinking, well, maybe they'll explain it. And then we get her in Generations and, all this other stuff. And it's like, maybe this will be the time they explain it. I remember watching everything with Guinan later from this point on going, what's going on? Time Zero. Oh, she's back in the... Sweet. So she lives a long time. What else about her? Well, we don't really find out. So it worked. It made me like... I'm sure it's explained in the novels and stuff.
But that's not... That's just a fan...
I know.
So
I know.
It doesn't count.
But...
Because think of all the novels that are post-Picard, all of which are now completely redundant.
Oh.
All post-Nemesis.
I missed a super chat and I apologize. Jill47 puts in $2. Thank you, Jill. Nice to see you again. Whoopi defense hands from the color purple, 1985. Defensive hands. All right, well, there you
go. But for me, this was... It says so much. I don't think I have any intention of answering these questions. I bet they just thought this would be fun,
Yeah.
Because we know that she's old, several hundred, but if he's all-powerful, what beats all-powerful? Now, they might be uniquely unable to be affected by Q, because that'd be kind of fun if they're just...
that's the vibe I kind of get,
Because I don't really get the genuine sense that she has powers, that she can actually do offensive, like she can't send lasers out of her hands. That feels more like a primal thing to me. So maybe she just literally, her energy is such that she can't be affected by the Q, which means that, if every time they change the galaxy for their own wants, they're not affected. It's kind of like she's got temporal shielding for the Year of Hell guy. It's like, for God's sake, temporal shields. And it's like, well, if I can't beam you away, what am I going to do with you? But it's a very odd sequence. It really plays odd now, especially since, it means nothing in the grand scheme. It's kind of a bit, like, forced. Again, when it doesn't mean anything, it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
it's an interesting... It adds some spice, and it gives you the sense of something might happen later, and that Q's maybe not all powerful. He's afraid of somebody.
Yeah, because he's afraid. He is like,
but
this lady, get rid of her. Can I help you?
Yeah, he says, get her off your ship. We've had some dealings. Those dealings were 2 centuries ago. She's an imp. She's an Imperial. That's what they call Imperials in Mandalorian.
I also like
where she goes, trouble follows. And she's like, you were speaking of yourself, Q. Or no, Picard said that. You were speaking of yourself, Q, not Guinan. Is that your name now?
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
And that adds a lot.
Yeah. And then Microbrain and other Microbrain walk in. I mean, Riker and Worf walk in.
Microbrain and Goatee. Because they both got similar facial hair, actually.
Yeah. But then we find out that the reason he's doing all this is he wants to join them as a member of the crew.
And what a left field decision by the writers that is. I mean, no one could predict that. You know what I mean? It's like, Jesus. Okay, cool. So Picard's first wish at Q the genie. I want some hair, Q. Aha! It's like dreadlocks. Like, not that hair, Q. Blonde wig. Not that hair, Q. And I keep going until he's like back to being bald.
But it comes down to the Q kicked you out, and the guy is like, not all Q are alike. Some are almost respectable. So, and then I love Picard's next thing. He's like, all right, he goes and sits down, gets comfortable. So, what would you do exactly? Where would you start as a crewman? What task would be too menial for an entity? Because I'm the captain, I need to assign you something to do. So It's just a great Picard moment.
Because when young Q is on the ship, doesn't he say, "Can I be captain?"
Yeah.
Yeah, he like tries to be the top rank. I mean, it's actually a really interesting scene. I kind of wish they explored this as an actual episode without the Borg. Like, if he had said yes, that would have been a great episode. Like, it almost feels wasted as a concept to not use that. Personally, like, that's almost more interesting than the Borg. What would a Q on board as him trying to be, like, have one episode of him not being a dick. But because he's so powerful, the crew can't adjust him properly. You know, he gives everyone birthday cake. Like, it's someone's birthday and everyone gets a cake on the entire ship. And it's like, Q, there aren't cakes in the engineer corps. You know, like, you do really a lot of fun with that. So kind of sad they, you know, it's only 10 minutes worth of this.
Yeah. But then Q goes on to say, so after my last encounter with you, I was asked to leave the continuum. I wasn't kicked out. I've been wandering and bored ever since then. So here is where I want to be. Think of the advantages. Think of the advantages of having me on board. Yeah. So I will renounce my powers and become as weak and incompetent as all of you. Aw.
That's a lot. That's a lot to say. You know.
Yeah. Then he goes on to kind of go from the kind of vulnerable side to the more vindictive, and says, "You have not vindictive, but like punchy, I guess. You have no idea what waits for you." The Picard's all like, "We can deal with it. It's good. It's fine for a Starfleet." He was like, "Oh, the arrogance. You have no clue what's out there." And he says to Guinan, "They have no clue what's out there." Guinan says, "But they will learn and adapt. That's their advantage." Q says they're moving faster than expected, faster than they should. Moving into parts of the galaxy that contain wonders more spectacular than you can imagine and terrors to freeze your soul. I'll be your guide. And Picard's like, your help is not required. Let's see how ready you really are. And that's what instigates it all. So, and we got a super chat from nobody important. It's just Anti-Trekker. $2. Hey, you review Q Who the day after my breakdown. What was next on our list of TNG reviews? So it has nothing to do with your breakdown, my friend. Don't get so full of yourself that we're paying attention to what the hell you're doing on your channel.
Cool though. Yay.
It's cool. It's cool.
I mean, that's crazy timing, to be fair.
Yeah.
Crazy timing. But yeah, like I said, this sequence is pretty great, very well written. I love that Q calls out for arrogance, and then Picard shouts back, saying it's not arrogance, but it really is. You know, they think they're all that. This is the flagship, the best ship, the new ship. We can take anything. We've been surviving so long. You know, there is the small brain of even though you would think he would assume that somewhere out there is something that could take us out, take you. I mean, you know, he should even say, "Are you arrogant? Are you so arrogant, Q, to think there's a creature that can't take you out?" You know, that would be kind of a fun counter.
And if I had said that to Q, I'd be like, "And look at, you're afraid of Guinan. You want to explain why, Q?" Yeah.
But yeah, it like I said, it's sad this wasn't explored more, the crew thing, because it does escalate. But as he says at the end, this might have been the right thing for the wrong reason. You know, this is a genuine teaching, learning, you know, moment. And obviously this helped them a lot, because if they hadn't have done this, if they hadn't have pushed them to the Borg and got that data, they probably wouldn't have survived, you know, the next encounter. You know?
Yeah.
But yes, they warp into the 7,000 light years, so not in the Delta Quadrant.
Well, they're near system J25, if that helps you.
Nope.
Bird of Prey 5 puts in $2. Who wins? Galaxy class versus an Intrepid. Ooh.
Which is funny, because I fought that in Temporal Anomaly, but with I got called out by so many people in the comments, but it's like, I have a stock response now explaining why certain ships are damaged, why in dialogue they explain some shields are down, some weapons are down, like, it's all in the dialogue. But Galaxy class would win a longer engagement, Intrepid would win a smaller engagement if the Galaxy class's shields are lower. Because the Galaxy has better shields, but less good weapons, Intrepid has better weapons, but less power to keep the shields up longer. So it's attrition versus quick, punchy firepower would be my interpretation there, Stuart. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's too tough to call, I think. Because really, I mean, you're talking about flagship versus something specialized. We're not going to get into that. That's a whole live on its own. I don't know. Depends on the captain. That would be that comes down to command, I think.
Yeah.
But Ginkgo Yoki though puts in $2 and says Guinan yells Q no, then Q snaps his fingers. Yes, she does. But
and 2 more super chats, Stuart. 3 more super chats, Stuart. Yay!
Oh, sweet. Let's see here. Tom Zeros48 puts in $2 and says one of my favorite Q Picard acting back and forth. Yeah, there's so many great ones, even though John Delancey just shows up once in a while and doesn't like anybody or care. That pisses me off so much. Anyway, Laughable Larry puts in $1.99. How does this tie into the Archer Borg episode? It doesn't at all. Because that came later and it was just stupid.
But in reality, in the reality of fandom, it doesn't too much because this is a ship that was not near Earth, so this was just a random ship. But it's all part of the same thing. You know, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
And Judge 1981 throws in $5. Thank you very much. The common debate I get into is Q trying to make Picard a better man. I mean,
well, that's interesting. Well,
that's also a live discussion on its own. It's not a simple answer, I don't think.
The thing is, we know in all good things the trial never ended. So this is all part of his trial.
Is it though, or is he just saying that later? Just like, yeah, all that other shit. Because I'm not even in the continuum right now, so.
But you know what I mean? Like, if this is all part of the general, you know, I don't know. I think he's interested. You know, he's interested in this person. Although Q's are surprisingly temporal. It's like, which Q is this? Why are there never Qs that see them out of order? Because why isn't a Q, or is it just one Q in all of time? And it's just a timeless being, or is it? But then, I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Actually, could be Q from it could be Q from season 7 jumping back.
That's what I mean. Exactly.
Because things aren't going the way they're supposed to in season 7. We got to introduce you to the Borg sooner. So yeah. Yeah, it's a tough call. Anyway, so to get to Starbase 185, which is closest to Starbase at highest warp, would take 2 years, 7 months, 3 days, 18 hours. Because really, I thought 7,000 light years. That's not too bad, considering warp 1 is 1 light year. But then I was going to do the math, and then of course Data did it for me. So 2 years, not too bad. It's not like Voyager bad. It's like 2 years, we can handle that. It's a Galaxy class, we're fine.
Yeah, but would that take Borg Cube 2 years to warp that far?
To warp, probably, but don't they have transwarp corridors?
Yeah, that was why I questioned at warp. We don't know that yet, obviously. So in the context of this, because it's far, I don't think that's Delta Quadrant. But then again, you wouldn't assume you'd send a ship 2 years at maximum warp out, because in reality, 2 years would be like 5 years because you're gonna stop, and you can't be maximum warp. I mean those criteria. It's like with Rick Sternberg with Voyager. It's like 70 years maximum warp, but there's 50 years maximum warp, 70 at cruising, because the fact is you can't be at maximum warp all day. You just literally can't. So in reality, that 2 years is going to be a lot more. It can't not be, and then you're going to get So are you ever going to send a ship 4 years out at warp? Because then you can't. It takes 4 years to get back. Like, I never got the sense that even the Enterprise D going out, it obviously didn't go years out. It went weeks out, months out, which means the range is still quite limited. So it must be at least nearer the edge of the galaxy of the quadrant.
Yeah, I didn't get the feeling that it was the Delta Quadrant or anything like that.
No.
No.
Would have been nice,
but
that's okay.
Yeah. But Picard looks to Guinan and says, your people have been to this part of the galaxy. What can you tell us? And she says, only that if I were you, I'd start back now.
It's a great line.
And Picard's like, fuck you. I'm going to feel like investigating.
Less great line. Considering she knew things were going on and she knows Q, and he's like, it doesn't matter. It would have been better if they started warping away and then they chased them. Like, it would have been, I don't know. But this is the point where the episode changes completely tonally. Like, there's now a, you know, it's as abrupt for us as it is for the audience, for the characters.
Well, Ginkgo Yoki puts in $5.
Thanks.
This episode, the beginning of the end of Federation complacency and families on ships, and the beginning of the era of Starfleet battleships, or the reintroduction of battleships, because they kind of had them before. Because I wouldn't call, like, you know, the refit in the Constitution class like luxury liners like the D is by any means. So, but yes.
Yeah, it's the end of the chill exploration time. We finally found a force that we can't defeat. Although you would think that the difference between like now and Dominion War and Picard, you think it would also be a big deal. You know, we dealt with ships and forces we could not defeat. So if the Borg brought us that far, post Dominion, you think it would even be another big one. You think?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Picard says, "Screw this, we're going to investigate." And then I don't know how much time has passed, but they find a system, and the sixth planet was once, you know, habitated. You know what I mean? But it has roadways, infrastructure, and large cities just scooped out. It's identical to what happened to the outposts along the neutral zone. And then they find they're being probed, which is never comfortable, especially when it's cold. No, wait a minute. I'm going off on a tangent there.
So yes, the Borg are now a thing, Stuart.
Yes.
And do go back and look at our Evolution of Borg ships episode, because we had a really good time trying to make some visual canon ideas as to how the Borg cube designs change and why they change and the look of them change. Really super interesting, guys. We turned a 25-minute concept into like a 55-minute two-part. It was really, really fun. And I will say now, I prefer the Voyager Borg cubes with the glowing green lights. I get why it's simple, but it adds so much depth and feel to it. If I was doing a master, I would have added the green, you know, rebuilt this in CG and then do the green bits, you know. Or I'd love to do a fan CG edit of this episode where you actually make it a bit more dynamic, because there's a few things you could improve and have like a more Voyager-esque cube. Personally, that's a visual retcon though, but I like that one more personally.
Yeah, well, I like the introduction to the Borg cube though. It's like, even the description, the ship is generalized in design. No bridge, no command center, no engineering section, no living quarters, and no indications of life. Okay, well, great.
And
no shields.
There you go.
And no weapons of any known design.
Big list of things they don't have, and yet they have all of them. All of them, and better than yours. That's fun though. Again, we can never watch this episode again and see it for the first time, and you know, we know what it's capable of. So you can imagine the first time watching this, truly, you're like, oh, is it even a ship?
I remember. I was like, well, that's really weird. Like, they made them seem so alien and so terrifying. It's like, I mean, you don't really get the terrifying aspect of it yet.
Exactly.
Best of both worlds established that.
Yes.
But this one established the whole, they're so different than us. Yeah. What's going to happen? And it feels like a derelict ship at this point, because there's no life signs, which later we find out they're not. Once they're all linked in, they project as one life, which is stupid.
We'll get into that. There's some slight problems in this episode that I've written down.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Guinan. I do love the shot of Guinan looking out 10 forward at the cube.
Yeah.
And then she says, "Go look at the viewer," to see a smaller, less definition version of the cube. And it's like, the front. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a It's a really weird.
And is this her office? Is this her office? Because go to your viewer. Because it's right off 10-4. We never see it again ever, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
But we find out, yes, her people encountered them a century ago. They destroyed. She wasn't there personally, but she heard stories. Destroyed our world and scattered my people. They are called the Porgs. Protect yourself, Captain, or they will destroy you. Those porgs are dangerous.
Yeah. And Trekker does... No, Dreaming Out There points out that in flashbacks we do see Voyager cubes. So, because obviously the Raven stuff, we see a Voyager cube. So, I mean, that's the tricky thing. They're not going to rebuild this cube to show in flashbacks. But we talked about different versions of cubes, different purposes. So, do seriously go back and watch that. It's really interesting, and it helps to make all this stuff make sense. But yeah,
yes, I said porgs on purpose, guys. People are freaking out with porgs. Relax. Porg,
But speaking of freaking out, though, when I see all of Guinan's reaction to this episode, her calm underplays everything that comes later. Like, she's not frightened, she's not worried, she's not scared, really. It's played so nonchalant that, like, if your entire race got killed and assimilated, you know what I mean? It just breaks the suspension of disbelief for this character. Because they don't know what they're doing yet. They haven't built up to here. I don't know if that played for you this time, how weird Guinan's reactions were.
I thought it was super weird,
Okay.
her reaction. Like, when I saw her sitting there, knowing that how much the Borg have kind of influenced her species, and she's just sitting there 10 forward looking at the cube like, I'm not going to tell the bridge what's going on, but I recognize this shit. Yeah. It bugged me a little bit, yeah.
It's a real disconnect.
And Anti-Trekker says, so Guinan was looking at the other ship out the window, goes to her office, then turns on the TV to look at the same ship in lower resolution and identifies it. Well, she already had it identified. She already knew what it was.
Also just said that.
Yeah, but she didn't feel the need to message the bridge and say, we should probably go.
Yeah, she should have done that thing from Into Darkness or Beyond, where she starts running to the bridge, comes out, it's the Borg! It's the Borg! The what? Get out of here! Warp away. Instead, just like, oh no, I guess I'm going to be assimilated again. Well, shit.
I've only heard stories of their assimilations. I get to experience it for real.
All of my family are all part of that collective, and...
Yeah, maybe Dad's on that ship.
Yeah. Fire! What?
Ginkgo Yoki, though, throws in $2. Too bad Borg ship wasn't 1x4x9 size ratio.
Jill has a great comment. I thought her reactions were perfect, added to her character. People who have lived hundreds of years don't overreact anymore.
True, I guess.
But is it overreacting if it's the single thing that killed most of your race, forced you to live in a different part of the galaxy, destroyed your home system, and is a blight to every part of the galaxy that you know the Federation aren't in already? I mean, it's like death incarnate that you've not seen in 200 years. You might react more than, I've seen a lot. This is it. This is the. I mean, she should be PTSDing. Honestly, this should be her trigger. Because they literally say this is the thing that destroyed the Elorians. Like the Borg. That's it. Like mystery gone. That's pretty heavy,
And Anti-Trekker, what is the countdown you're doing with 40%? You were 31% earlier. I want to know what's happening. Thomas Potts is at 57%, so I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. But anyway.
And then the Borg beams through shields. They make a very distinct point saying shields up, and I thought that was quite a subtle touch that you really don't pick up on until you think about it. It's like, just effortlessly beam through shields. No problem. Would have been useful later on, but that's okay. But yeah, and it's such a nice beam as well, through glass and out of focus. It's so well integrated.
Yeah. It was just so in the background. It was great.
Perfect, really.
And then you see the arm drop down and the Again, pretty terrifying the first time, especially not knowing what was going on.
I know it's practically impossible, but I'd love to see the sequence redone, but with a First Contact style drone. Can you imagine how terrifying that would be? With something comes with the red laser, just turns and hits the camera, in this perspective shot, and you see the little glows, and you know what I mean. You can really amp it up with having the later Borg, the zombie Borg.
Eugene though throws in 1,000 rubles. Thank you very much, Eugene. We are the Porgs. Lower your expectations and open your wallets. Your franchise distinctiveness will be added to our own. Your fan base will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
But they were okay cute.
But the resistance wasn't futile because it was fighting the First Order.
Well, once the galaxy helps.
Yeah.
But Ginkgo Yoki actually quotes the 1 times 4 times 9 is the monolith size ratio from 2001. It wasn't just a random joke. Very clever. Very, very specific, clever joke. Good job.
Gotcha.
Over our heads, but it's okay. And Jill re-comments on my comment to her comment. With every passing year, I appreciate Guinan more and more as a fantastic character. She has some of the best dialogue in the Trek verse.
I totally agree.
I wouldn't say. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of some of the best. You know what I mean? Like, you could say 20% of the dialogue in Trek is some of the best Trek. You know, so you know, yes, there's some great stuff, but I mean, lots do. But yes, the Borg have arrived.
And he's wandering around engineering, just checking out the consoles. Picard comes down with a security team. And, what is it you want? We mean you no harm. He's not interested in your life form. He's there to study your technology. Just a scout. Well, Q snaps in and says this to him. He's just a... And he may try to take control of your ship, Captain. I love it. There's nothing menacing going on. He's just kind of like, so
Yeah,
not phasering people. He's not killing anybody.
Yeah, it's tonally really interesting. Like I think they're trying to keep the audience off balance here, because most episodes, if there's an intruder in your engineering, they'd be more alert. But everyone's so calm. You know what I mean? Like, think about that Klingon that ran in season 1 and how many people were alert and really actiony, and it's just like, oh yeah, there's a robot scanning our stuff. Oh really? Hello. You know what I mean? There's a weird tonal, like, because they know the audience. They know because they've read the script, they're not going to get hurt, and that comes in later especially. There's a slightly odd juxtaposition, especially as Guinan was so like. Well, that's a little bit later, I suppose, but. There's a bit of a lack of concern here, but I think normally there would be more concern.
Well, Santonius Prime puts in $4.99. Am I crazy, or is the first Borg we see just Brent Spiner in Borg costume? You are crazy, because it's definitely not.
But I will say that I have a pet peeve with this Borg, that his arm looks ridiculous. It pisses me off every time.
Ridiculous.
The fact that it's like a 9-foot arm. Like, I understand they had to get all mechanical stuff and also over a guy's arm, so it's fully needs must, but it looks pathetic. Like, it just looks so stupid and dumb. Every long shot, it's like it's down to his foot. Not really, but it just looks stupid. Even though the top's cool, but, you know, I would have like made a stunt version that moves for the close-ups and have a normal-sized one that would just go over his arm. I don't know if that's shared by you, Stuart, but that always hugely takes me out of it.
No, I like it because the asymmetry of the human form is kind of disturbing. So
I can appreciate. That's a really good point.
So it never bothered me. So
here's a long shot, and it literally is. You can see he's literally holding the entire mechanical bit because the entire thing is needed for it to move.
What happened to the picture quality between him messing with the console to the firing of the phaser? It's grainy as hell. It just seems like not even the same footage.
I mean, when you had post effects, maybe they did some stuff to it, or I don't know.
Anyway, it looks really shit. I noticed it the first time. But then they shoot him. Well, actually, he throws a security guy off, and then they.
That's a stupid moment. It's like, Worf, deal with him. Yes, lower officer, deal with him. Yes, sir. Fling.
New red shirt, yellow shirt replacement. Go.
It's like, what's the point of that? It's like the captain say, right, Riker, take us to warp. Yes, you heard him, Worf. Tell every rank below you to go to warp until the ensign does it. Just do it yourself, you twat. Because he can't get thrown. It's such a setup, you know. I'll give him one bit of credit there. In the next shot, I love when the green lightning actually only goes over the outline of the ship.
Of the ship. I noticed that too. I don't know if that was just done in the remaster, but it
I love
looks
it.
great. It looks great.
A simple detail. It's kind of like almost symbolic of what it's doing.
Hmm.
But the fling's stupid. It's such a choreographed non-scene.
Yeah. But then he gets phasered, and a second later, another Borg.
Oh, well, first its phaser does absolutely nothing. And that's kind of weird, because even stun, you think would do something to him, but no.
Yeah, yeah. But then he
Oh,
gets.
yeah, that does get very grainy, doesn't it? You mean the kill shot got grainy?
Yes.
Jesus, that is awful, isn't it? Wow.
Yes.
Hot damn.
It's very, very obvious.
Right. Doesn't even look HD, does it? To be honest.
Nope. Nope.
I mean, that might have been a bit of lost footage. They didn't want to tell the audience, because that's really bad. But yeah, kills a Borg.
He does. And then another Borg comes in and continues doing the thing on the computer, and Worf tries firing at him, and you get the shielding. Which is nice. They've adapted. That's what they're supposed to do. I like that.
And it's a good effect. I like the geometric shape nature of the shield. It's quite a nice touch. Although it's interesting to see people like Picard go from new life. I mean, he goes to kill it really quickly. The escalation is very much because the script calls for it. Use all force. Okay, I'll murder, sir. I murdered, sir. You happy? I am, Mr. Worf. Good. Murder more. Yes, Mr. Worf. Plays a bit odd, but yes, kills. Adapts. No shits are given.
Exactly. And then he removes pieces off the other Borg and transports out. And so does the other guy off the floor, and there's a big Borg stain on the carpet.
I mean, if you look at the effect, it's slightly different, even though the sound effect's the same. So he disintegrates the body.
Oh, does he?
Well, that's why he's burn mark. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Okay.
Rather than leaving tech. It just shouldn't have been the same sound effect. Because if you look, the beam has little white things, but they'll just... It's like smoke.
Did not notice that, so thank you for pointing that out.
Yes. But it does seem so weird just to take like 3 pieces.
Yeah.
Like, just beam the whole dude to your ship and just harvest him more if he's that dead. Yeah. And now this is the first time I'm actually seeing a Borg up close, like really cleanly. What do you think of the design? Because it's also brighter as well. This first iteration of the Borg. What are your thoughts?
I like it. I do appreciate the ones later that are more terrifying, like zombie-like, like in First Contact. But these ones, I think, have a good look to them. I have no real issue with them at all. Sure, yeah, later, I guess terrifying's better, but I like it. I think for the time it was fantastic, I think. And something we really hadn't seen before. So, no, I like it.
I think they kind of look a little bit cheap. Especially later on in the cube, you can see it's just a black lycra suit with pipes stuck on the back. I think it's a costume that really is better than some of its design. Because if you break down this guy, he's wearing 3 bits of plastic and pipes. That just really is it. The only bit of effort's really onto his eyepiece. But it does come together into this idea. It's like the Borg cube. It's not really a distinct design beyond the cube. It's a cube made of pieces. This is a creature in a black lycra suit.
Made of pieces.
Made of pieces, yeah. It doesn't feel cohesive. It doesn't feel very advanced. I mean, it doesn't feel advanced. I mean, it's very Cyberman-ish in that respect, where they just remove pieces and have tech. That's why I like the later Borg, because they're obviously in armor. You get beautiful makeup with the face with all the different colors and stuff. Like, it's really, that design is like the best easily.
We need to talk to Michael Westmore sometime about the Borg evolution.
Yeah, seriously,
that'd be great.
But don't know if he didn't design this one, but I'm sure he did the makeup.
Yeah, but Ginkgo Yoki puts in $2. Engineering Borg is Queen Borg's version 1.0. Better later. don't know what you mean. We were
Please
just
try.
kind of talking about that, like the first Borg iterations, but
And yes, Dan 23. First Contact had a bigger budget, so they made the Borg look different, and they continued
yes.
to Voyager. Yes, and then everyone after First Contact used the Borg costumes and set pieces. That's why the quality continues to be movie level, because they just all use the same costumes.
Yeah. And Jarzia puts in $2 Canadian.
Thank you.
At least the carpet cleaner was already scheduled. Clean up the hot chocolate. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just replace all of the carpeting and engineering at this point.
They don't look good enough. But I love this. I do love the concept of this scene, though. You kill one, another beams in instantly, takes him out, no fuss, no talking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it says so much. And this guy's a much better hand-to-body ratio.
Yeah.
Just the other one looks a bit daft.
I do like the fact that they're all different, and the fact that, the asymmetry, I think, it's just unsettling for a human form. They use that a lot in different horror movies and stuff, with the way, people crawl and stuff. Make it look odd. It's just psychologically and subconsciously kind of makes you a little bit cringy.
You just see exactly what they're doing. The lack of budget. It's just, right, put this glove on. Cool. Hold onto a thing. It's got tech on it. Like, you just see through it a bit too much for these ones. Whereas later on, the way their arms are like all these slices, and it really is just like the exact length of the arm. It's like, wow, how did they manage to get the entire prosthetic on? That's really cool. And it does a slice, and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yes, so conference room number 1, because they conference room a lot.
And this is where we get Guinan. He said Guinan should be here because she's experienced these. Well, she knows about them, and this is where she says she wasn't there personally, but they swarmed through her system. When they were gone, there was nothing or little left of my people. They don't attack individually. When they decide to come, they will come in force. They don't do anything piecemeal. And then I love Picard's Federation thinking here. How do we reason with them and let them know that we aren't a threat? She's like, you can't. So again, building that mythology of the Borg from the beginning, I like it. I like that she says she wasn't there, so she didn't actually see it firsthand. Because otherwise you'd be like, how did you escape?
Well, that's the only reason she escaped, because she wasn't there in the first place.
Yeah.
But this scene made me laugh, and I just laughed when you said it. When she says, they don't do anything piecemeal, they go full force or nothing. And it's like, did you see Best of Both Worlds or First Contact?
Not yet. She hasn't. No.
I wouldn't call that full force.
You got to think too.
Would you end the game with your Borg cube armada just hiding in a nebula?
You got to think. The Borg are constantly evolving. The more species they bring into the collective, they're changing the way they think. They're changing the way that they. Yeah. So I don't have a problem with them evolving that way and changing from this episode. So I don't have an issue with that personally. But I see what you mean.
They do the exact opposite of what she said.
Exactly.
They do go piecemeal with least effort.
Yeah.
I'd love to do like a remaster then of like First Contact where it's like 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 cubes, and it cuts to this scene and saying, they do nothing piecemeal. 15 cubes. And we cut to like 6 Federation ships and like, shit. And they come in full force. But I mean, that's the problem with any Borg episode. It's like, they could win. They should win. They don't, because they're the heroes. I just found it a little bit, again, in retrospect, it doesn't stack up to the idea of, even in 2 seasons.
Yeah, and I liked the effect in the conference room of the red alert thing behind Picard around the flashing on and off. That was kind of cool. Never really see it again, I don't think, but
you do a little bit. It's subtle, but it's surprisingly effective.
Yeah. And Super Coops throws in £5.
Thank you.
Guinan should be here so we can continue to ask her advice, then ignore it. Bad move, Picard. LOL. Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good. Yeah. But it's a lot of exposition. I was kind of thinking, what are the Borg doing at this point? Because the pace kind of shifts a lot in this episode, going from these to, I guess nothing's happening now. They've got time just to chat, and no one seems that concerned.
The whole thing, the whole time after they had come on the ship and left, I would have been like, 9.6, get us the hell out of here.
Yep.
Let's not sit here.
Nope.
And
with our fingers up our butts waiting for them to attack. It's very... This episode does sort of deconstruct as a series of scenes that don't properly connect. You know?
Well,
these scenes should have been earlier. Like, the Borg should have been coming at warp. Like 2 hours away, and these scenes. So having them in the middle... you know.
And 181 of you here. Everybody hit like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to address Anti-Trekker because he keeps repeating his same goddamn... Even though he never answers me when I go to his chats. But he says, Trekyards, they killed our people a century ago. But I wasn't there personally. 100 years earlier, she was on a refugee ship that had escaped. Well... She wasn't in the system that was attacked, though. She was... I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, she got picked up. I mean, if it's 2 years away maximum warp, I didn't get the sense that was the same Borg destruction event necessarily. Because are you saying that she warped for 4 years on the Lacule back to Federation space or to Federation space, and they still that grubby after 2 years? You know, I got the impression that was another event that she happened to be, and you know, an Elorian convoy got attacked by raiders. You know what I mean? And the Lacule had, you know what I mean? It's not that it wouldn't connect in any way to the Borg because they're too far away, and there's not enough of them, and blah blah blah. So I didn't think that at all. You know.
But I know, but they're being hailed on screen. We have analyzed. They do not say we are the Borg Resistance. Tell.
But they do cut to a helpful interior view for some reason.
Well, they always do that though.
Well,
pretty much.
Why?
They do it in Star Trek Bridge Crew, the game. So, but we have analyzed you and found you cannot withstand us. If you try to defend yourselves, you will be punished. They don't have a single. Oh yeah, that's the next thing. But yeah. To which then Guinan kind of gives them more information. And we hear they don't have a single leader. It's a collective. The minds of all of them. Actually, it's Troy that says that. Sorry, my bad.
It's amazing how she knows so much, but only gives it piecemeal. It's like, wouldn't Guinan just say everything straight away? I know it's a story and it evolves, but it's like, if she, like, once you know who the Borg are, you know who they are. You know? They're so simple to understand. You would think that there'd be more... Yeah, it's just... Yeah.
Then Q shows up.
Oh.
He's like, are you sure you don't want me to, as a member of your crew? Just kind of like a weird thing on the view screen. Remember me, guys?
I miss episode 2!
But then they get locked on by a tractor beam, and they all head back to the bridge. And here's where they get carved up like a... Well, first they try to take out the tractor beam.
Yes.
By not shooting at it. But that's okay. And that doesn't work. So then they get carved up like a turkey or a roast, I guess. And that's such a cool visual. I remember that too. First time seeing that, I was like, God damn. That's how many people died during that. I remember thinking
18.
Well, yeah, yes. There's a way to ruin it.
16. 4. 21. Could be any of the numbers, Stuart.
Oh, okay. Multiple. Okay, good. We'll find out later, I guess. Eh?
Yes.
But yeah, pretty cool scene actually of taking that slice. I thought it was neat. And then they just start blasting. For, again, I think they're trying to take out the power core that's powering the tractor beam, because he tells Data, take out whatever you need to get that tractor beam disabled. And Data keeps shooting at the same spot, and then eventually shoots at the emitter. It's like, okay, just do that in the first place.
Stuart, I think the VFX team did not talk to the script people at all about this sequence. I think the remastered team did also not think about remastering it in a more efficient way. Because I thought, Stuart, why not fire photon torpedoes too? Because they're more powerful than a single phaser blast. Although one phaser blast can rip a massive hole in a ship that is very, very large. I mean, there is no reason, none whatsoever phaser can do that. That is completely unrealistic. It's completely nonsensical.
As we know, photon torpedoes are for after the shields are down. They're for hull impact to cause maximum damage. There's no shields for the Borg.
Perfect.
So it would have been a perfect time to lay some photon torpedoes one after the other.
Torpedo hits.
They do.
Like, I love the idea of like piercing through the hull and hitting the emitter, like just destroying the entire emitter core great. But it seems so strange, the non-strategy here.
Mhm.
There is a disconnect between the inside and the outside and how they all play. And this is also scaled wrong, the VFX. That's not how they would look. Especially in a shot later on where you see a shot where it literally turns the entire screen and then moves. It's like, that's not remotely what this is showing us.
Yeah, I noticed that, though. That's
Yeah.
something I have a problem with. But
Yeah.
anyway, so Picard asked for damage report. Sections 27, 28, and 29 on decks 3, 4, and 5 are destroyed. 18 are missing, so we don't know if they're dead. They're just Borgified.
Thrib says too close to torpedo would damage them. Nope, they've got full shields, whereas later they don't. And also torpedo... people have done torpedoes very, very close before. There's not that much blowback to you if you've got shields. That's why shields are there.
True, but I mean, even in games like Starfleet Battles, if you fire a photon too close, you get feedback damage from it.
It's
so
still hundreds of meters away. I mean, the ship is 3 miles long. I mean, this is not a representation. Otherwise, you tell me that you can't shoot any target. This happens all the time. I mean, do you remember when they shot at...
You can't shoot targets within 1 hex space on Starfleet Battles. That's 10,000 kilometers. 1 hex is 10,000 kilometers, so...
Well, do you remember when they fired the torpedo and destroyed the Reliant that was diseased? That was pretty close.
It was, yeah.
And that was a small ship, so I call bullshit on that.
It might have been a low-yield torpedo, though, because there was no shields up or anything, so...
Well, you would think a destruction of an entire ship would be more damaging to you with all the debris than vaporizing this stuff.
Yeah. Jarzia, though, throws in $2 Canadian.
Hey.
Per Eric Henry's video, there could have been nobody there. I'm so confused.
Oh, on the slice.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought that. 1,000 people. 18 deaths is a lot for a small slice that happens. I mean, that's a lot of... Really? 18 people... That...
Well, it would have caused decompression in all the areas around that, too, before the force fields went up.
Maybe?
But it said 18 missing. Didn't say 18 dead. 18 missing, so... Did they get sucked out of space after the slice went out?
Maybe. Still, that's a lot of people to... Because you assume force fields should be on within not even a second. That's their entire job, is milliseconds.
Yeah.
And that is too many people to die like that. It's a nice effect, and this definitely haunted me when I was younger. And just the precision of that beam, considering how many miles big that ship is, and how many big this ship is, that is a bloody precision beam.
Yeah. And Avenue Pad says in Star Trek 2, the phasers were pretty effective with shields down. Yes, those were just ships the same size as the ship that was firing them. You don't need to waste photon torpedoes on that. This is huge. I would be definitely launching photon torpedoes. But photon torpedoes are specialized to be more like hull hitters and damage than taking out shielding. You take the shields down with the energy weapons, use the...
Because phasers can pierce through. I love that it pierces through the side. But it should have been like full spread torpedo. It should have been everything, like later on. Because it would have been more impactful to have torpedoes not work later on.
Impactful.
If they worked here and didn't work later, then that would be a sign of adaptation. If phasers were this powerful, then as soon as the shield's down for a Dederodex, you could literally disintegrate the entire head of the Dederodex if the shield's down. That's what this is telling you. It's that easy. But they're not that powerful. They really aren't. So the visuals don't line up, and also the way it explodes is so cheap looking. I thought that in the last battle, it looked pretty crap.
Yeah.
They really didn't put any effort into that. But the blowing through the hull looks really good. The way it all disintegrates through. So it's a real mixed bag of really cool and not cool.
Mm-hmm.
And also, don't you just hate how the deflector is lit up in that side view? Just how bad that looks.
Yeah. Well, we find out that they sustained 20% damage to their vessel and have minimal life support. Yep.
Did they, though?
20% damage to the Borg cube. I know, I'm just reading what it says.
Did they, though?
And then we get Geordi and Miss Gomez down there. They're trying to get the warp engines or whatever. I don't know. I didn't pay attention. But then Picard calls a conference. And I'm like, really? Just talk on the bridge.
Or keep firing.
Why would exactly? Or just turn around, start going at the fastest speed you can go.
Just keep firing torpedoes as you go. Just keep torpedoing.
Yes.
Every minute.
Yes. If you ever played a Star Trek game, that's what you do. You fire torpedoes so you have no more. Plus, trust me, we haven't defeated the Borg once in this damn bridge crew, and we've tried multiple times. Just keep firing.
Stuart, this is the problem part of the episode. This bit, until they start zooming away, is not particularly good. It breaks all. It doesn't connect at all to anything future Borg. It takes all attention away. It breaks it all down. It's really a shame because they're inventing as they go, but it does not connect. It really stands out awkwardly. And Picard is a bad captain here for many reasons. It's really strange, and I don't buy for a second 20% hull.
Yeah.
Because at that rate, why don't you keep firing? Just destroy it then. It took you 6 hits to destroy 20% of the hull. Well, destroy it then. There's no life signs. It's
But we're the Federation. You can't do that. Not on first contact.
They killed the Borg instantly in the engineering with no thought. They can destroy an entire ship. Who cares? There's no life signs. But would you agree this is the weakest part of it by a long way?
Yes. Yes, and everything in my being was saying, just start getting the fuck out of there. Move! Mm-hmm. I mean, it's common sense. I think it's just kind of weird, so...
It's just so weird to cut from epic action to her dwelling on the dead when you're still 1 meter away from the enemy vessel that's going to kill you all. And we know in future episodes they would just beam more Borg over and assimilate the ship. There's no hive mind healing. Nothing here links into the greater Borg canon. It's very disconnected.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Q pops into their little conference, and we find out that the Borg are made up of artificial and organic life that has been developing for thousands of centuries.
That's a long time.
It is.
And that tells us a canon of history of Borg that is not really represented other times. It's like people saying, oh, yeah, totally in Discovery. That's the start of... No, it's not.
So even if they had gone back 900 years in the past, and that was the development of the Borg, it still wouldn't be. So, yeah. But I love how Q says the Borg are the ultimate user. It's like, okay. Yeah. And then I love when Q blinks away, how the chair turns. That was beautifully done.
I don't just love John Delancey's lighting.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No, all the lighting here is really good in this sequence.
And then one of the stupidest things ever, again, just common sense, guys. Well, if we're going to be dealing with the Borg in the future, we need to learn all we can about them. Let's go visit the ship. I totally agree, number one. That's a fantastic plan. What? Well, to be fair, it's 20% damage. There's minimal life signs or minimal life support. They think that they've probably won at this point, and it's not going to come back. So,
I mean, at least Guinan should know better. I mean, she does. Don't. I know.
She does. Yeah.
She should be more forceful. I mean, this is a pathetic little scene. I mean, can you imagine the same situation with a Deredex? Like, you know what? I should be on board to learn about it. Yes, you should be on board. Stop there. Shit, should have been aboard. No, you shouldn't have. It's like, how do they think this would go well? I think you're right. They're assuming they've killed all of the crew. Mm-hmm. They're assuming it wasn't a threat and they destroyed it. But it's so stupidly played. They should have explained that. They should have. It doesn't. It's just really stupid. It would never happen again. It's just because we have to get on the ship.
Yeah.
There's no other reason. There's no other anything. It doesn't work well.
Well, Jarzia sent another PayPal.
Excellent.
But for some reason, PayPal has placed a temporary pending status on the transaction, so I can't read what you said.
Less excellent. And Ryan K says, gathering intelligence is really not a bad idea. Oh no, of course it isn't. Do a deep scan, beam a probe on board. Don't beam your second in command into a ship you know nothing about, with a race you know nothing about, with creatures that basically killed you almost in the first strike, and don't be afraid. I mean, nothing about them makes sense. Information gathering is not a problem, it's just everything else about it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Anyway, they beam over, and best lit Borg ship I've seen. They tend to get darker and darker and darker the longer we go. And I got to admit, I like the displays behind these ones better than just the lightning things.
First bit of credit though. First time I've seen a back beaming. Like
yes.
Simple but effective. Just want to give them a call out for just something a little bit different and look good. But yes, Borg ship. What do you think of the set design?
I like it. I forgot how good this looked because it was kind of been muddied by Borg designs from here on out. This just looks so crisp and clean, and this is how the Borg should look to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like this.
So I miss the strobe green lights with all the smoke and.
I don't. They turned the Borg. They were terrifying. They're scary the first time you see this, but they basically turned it into a haunted house. Every time they go to a Borg ship after this, to ramp up that terror aspect, and I don't know if it works for me, but
Oh, and Lipodorn, is that you're gonna read or?
Liperidon.
There you go.
I think they totally underestimate Borg, what they do, how they act, etc., and this shows it perfectly. They have no idea what they're dealing with.
It's true.
Yes.
But if in similar situations with other aliens they wouldn't be on board, they should have given them a better reason to. You know?
Yeah.
Especially as they say, we'll beam to the least damaged part of the cube, therefore implying the most threat. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, they're trying to cram too much in.
But
I'm looking at this set, and it looks as if there's grates on boxes, and they're going to step between boxes. Like, this is just a wall on the sound stage. Like, it's obviously this is only the thing that exists. It's like pipes and beams, and like it's very effective, but it's also very like strategically all we need.
Super Coops though puts in £5.
Thank you.
The Borg are the future of the Packlids. Resistance is futile. Your technological and biological distinctiveness will make us go. Yes. Now, I love the reaction, though, when they beam in. It's like, shit, we didn't think there was going to be anybody alive here.
Yep.
And Data's like, okay, well, Enterprise was scanning for individual life forms. When they're in these slots, they register as a whole, not individuals. And the whole time I'm thinking, bullshit. Because you know what? Every other time we've seen a Borg ship, there's always drones roaming the hallways, going between, doing things. So I call bullshit on that they're all in the alcoves at this moment.
10,000.
You're not reading 12 individual life forms that are walking down corridors when you did your scan. Bullshit.
Yes, and you would assume that there are...
And they do say our readings were wrong. The Borg did survive. So they assumed that they were all dead.
Yes.
So.
I mean, technically speaking, they could. If this was very, like, retconny, then you would assume the people on the Enterprise D slice are now in an assimilation bay. So they should be reading life signs. Because what if you flipped on their
Assuming they were assimilated.
Well, they were taken at least.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that tractor beam is going to keep the air in. Why wouldn't it? If they're trying to get people, I mean, you know, because wouldn't that have been a better way of doing it? It's like, sir, life signs on the ship. What are they? Human. I think they tractor beamed our crew. Let's go get them. And then some of them were assimilated. That would have been a nice way of doing it. But we haven't obviously developed the assimilation. Not even assimilation doesn't exist yet. This is not a concept they've designed.
No. Well, Bridhari 12, where'd that go? Says the drones are still connected by Wi-Fi. Yeah, but he specifically says when they're in these alcoves and they're connected to the whole, they don't register as individuals. Yep. So I don't buy it.
Yep. And of course they're all Wi-Fi connected, obviously.
Yeah. SWTX Chaser puts in $5.
Thank you.
Resistance is futile. Super chat now. Afternoon, gents.
I love his mentality.
Thank you. And it's even green. It's Borg green. It's nice.
And also, Ken M says, Borg handrail? Interesting. Why do Borg need handrails? This is true. I have a question. I have a question for you, though. And I was watching this on my 4K TV with the Blu-ray HD remaster. As they're walking by, are some of these people actually mannequins been painted?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, because I mean, it would be easier, ironically, just to, you know, get a mannequin, paint his face white, and they won't have to move. Because why would you need to have all these actors in full makeup to stand still?
Plus, you need a place to store the uniforms and all these components when they're not being worn by an actor. So they're probably on mannequins, and they walked in and went, you know, to save ourselves some time, why don't we just use these?
Yeah.
Because really, it's a cost-effective measure, I think.
Because I mean, look, this guy in the background. I mean, that it could be a real person or it could be a mannequin. I mean, it adds nothing to be either. But in fact, if it was a mannequin, then surely the face would look less real because it's sort of distorted and not fully proportioned. It's just the vibe I got. I don't know. I think they were, but even this guy, like, you know, they're so underused. I mean, but that said, in the Klingon episode we just did with Worf, they had 12 Klingons, but only for the long shot. They only did 2 close-ups. So I mean, they do the effort. But what do you guys think? Someone just felt like mannequins to me.
Yeah, and are you annoyed that they all look human?
And the baby.
I mean, they have. Well, God, that's next. The Borg nursery, but yeah, the whole having been assimilated isn't a thing yet. But looking back on it now, you're like, really? They're 2 years away from nearest starbase. Everybody looks human. It just annoys me a little bit.
You could stretch that to white males if you really wanted to, although you could easily say the pigment in your skin got undone by nanoprobes.
Yeah, because they get ejected and turn white later, and we know that. So.
But yeah, it is weird. But again, what a waste of money to make Andorian and Tellarite. I mean, yeah. But yeah, it does feel because especially the baby.
It wouldn't be those though. It just should be some other form of alien. Once. Oh, like generic bald white male. Yeah.
I guess they want to give us that drone feel. Each individual thing, especially if they're born into this, then they could be genetically engineered to be. See, this version of the Borg are more like processors in a big computer. They aren't creatures. They aren't beings. They are just computers in a computer, born that way, added that way. So why would you create any other form of life? Just the one that works best, and that is humanoid. All about the same height, about the same build.
Well, speaking of, that goes to the next scene with the nursery. But before that, Picard says to Chief O'Brien, keep a lock on them. We need to pull them out of there. Fine. Yeah. But then we go to the Borg nursery, and I love this. It seems to be some sort of nursery. And Picard says, describe it. Riker doesn't say a word. He wanders around, looking around, taps the drawer, opens the drawer, and then says, it looks like the Borg are born biological and immediately after birth are implanted with tech. Every time the hood goes on, it's a bad thing over there. Jeff Jacobs puts in 254, 154 likes. Thanks. Dare we say 200? Hashtag Q who like spike. 191 of you here. Everybody hit like. Make sure you're subscribed. And yes, hit like. Let's make Jeff pay again. We can do it. We can get to 200 likes.
We are fair. We are balanced. Yesterday, we complained about the Discovery Shuttle being lazily reused. Today, we're complaining about one of the best episodes of TNG of its kind, making decisions that now in retrospect don't work. Because that's a fair thing to do. You can't just say things at the time don't matter because it's part of a grander universe, and this was a bad idea anyway. I didn't even clock the fact they didn't talk about the nursery. But why do you think nursery? What makes you think nursery from this setup? Pipes with
Nothing. And that bothers me so much. Now, somebody mentioned in the chat maturation chamber. Let's say they did assimilate a child. They might need to do this to keep it alive. I buy that. And we see this later, too. I think in Voyager, we see some
couple times,
maturation chambers.
Yeah. But then again, that says to me, like, a Borg drone isn't going to walk up to a baby on a planet and assimilate him thinking, he'll be useful for the collective. And then you have to maturate him. You just kill the babies or just leave them to dead, whatever. Feels like these that again, this is going to later stuff. Feels like that's more if you were to inject like nanoprobes into the atmosphere and it just infects everybody, and then you've got babies to look after, and then become more drones. But yeah, it's such a stupid idea. It's such a non-idea, and just to make them babies with
I don't think they had the feel of what the Borg were supposed to be yet. The assimilation thing doesn't seem to be a thing yet. So, who was it that said? Bid Rolly 12. When a mommy Borg and a daddy Borg love each other very much.
It's true. This asks questions that they had no intention of even thinking about. They just wanted to create a striking visual of a Borg drone baby. But there's nothing gained from it.
Also,
Nothing.
the baby's acting is totally crap. Yeah, it's just.
Hey. He's president now, okay? See what I did there? Um, yeah, and also the fact that Riker assumes they're from birth. I mean, he has no information. He makes this massive
No.
assumption.
Yeah.
It's so
Well,
unprofessional.
my favorite thing about the scene is it appears to be some sort of nursery. Well, describe it to me, number one. Looks like there's. He didn't say a goddamn word.
There's also a happily, easily openable button. It's like the
Yeah.
Borg don't need to use buttons. Everything's connected. They're not pressing buttons.
Uh-huh.
It.
But
Oh, goodness.
speaking of, then Data calls their attention to a shit-covered wall.
Hold on.
Because that's what it looks like.
Hold on. We went past one thing.
Oh, did we?
Well, because we forgot about the bit where the drone goes past them and they're like, "Oh, if you're not a threat, doesn't see us." And there's a complete lack of self-awareness of the makers of this episode, that these characters, before they know that point, they communicate with Picard loudly. So, Mr. Data, what do you think? Oh, he's fine. Shouldn't we be quiet, an enemy ship of people here? No, let's talk loudly. Oh no, we're being held hostage. Like, it's so it knows that they can't, because we're not a threat, before the characters know, and they're acting like absolute morons. And I hate it. It plays so poorly. It plays as if we are meant to know what the Borg are, and therefore we accept it, but they don't know yet. Why are they casually walking around with no sense of risk or threat? It's
Yeah.
like for all they know, the Borg could go beep beep. So we can't bring them back. Oh no! Like, there's no sense of danger here of any kind, and that's remarkable to me. Like, you see, in Voyager, when they beam in, there's tangible tension. Every Borg cube they go onto is like, oh no, it's a big threat. Oh no, and we could get stuck at any moment when they realise we're here. Like, real threat. Here, there's nothing. It's really, really damaging, I think. And in fact, they're playing this out, going onto the machines for laughs. Like, oh, we can't use the device. Oh, duh. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so strange.
James McGill puts in $4.99.
Hey,
Would Borg be more benign to cybernetic intelligences? No, I think they treat everything equally. They would just assimilate it and improve their own.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not ignoring you, Anti-Tracker.
But yes, now the wall.
Yeah, it's now the shit-stained wall. Looks like somebody just plastered it with diarrhea. It looks awful. Anyway, but the ship is clearly regenerating. You can tell. And the reason that they are all kind of in their alcoves and not wandering around is because they are all combining their efforts to regenerate the ship. That point is made as well. So they decide to get out of there. And I love how Picard's just like, yep, beam them aboard. No problem with that, which I like. Straight to the bridge. And
this one is
let's get out of here.
Again.
Yeah, max warp and 8.8, warp 9. So, and yeah, that scene where they're like sitting in front of the ship, it's ginormous and
makes no sense.
Nope.
It's like, look, we made a miniature. Please, can we use it? Please, we built it custom. Please, can we just put it in? Thank you. Another quick mention. They go to this wall outside the nursery, and it's damaged. This is the least damaged part of the ship.
And I'm not ignoring you, Anti-Tracker. Yes.
Why the hell is this thing down? I felt that was so disingenuous. It's like, Brent, yes, scan the wall. What? Just scan it. Read out this page. What? And then we gotta get to the next scene. Oh, okay. Great. Let's go. It's so disingenuous. This doesn't make any sense. I don't like it. It's dumb.
I don't like it.
But I love the action. He's finally into action. We're finally back into... This should have been the scene right after they attacked it. They just removed the entire middle bit.
See, yeah, they should have tried to get away. They got stopped because the Borg fires at them, and while they're sitting there thinking that they damaged the Borg has damaged them, they can't move. Then they decide to go over and get some intel. Would have been better than this.
Yep. And he's gone. He's gone. Let's hope he comes back soon. Soon. Soon.
I'm back.
Hello. Welcome back. What are you going to say?
I was saying it would have been better if this scene was right after the initial attack thing, and then they both get disabled in this chase, and that's when they decide to beam over and do the recon mission. That would make more sense.
I mean, I'm pretty sure one of the next times we find them, they go into Nebula to hide from them. Would have been nice if they said, Data, where can we hide? There's a nearby Nebula. They hide in there for a little bit, and they see the Borg haven't moved in 6 hours. That's weird. Let's go investigate. Yeah, there's better ways they could have done it easily, and I think really should just remove the middle, or at least the Borg baby bit. Just remove that scene. Do a director's cut. We just remove a scene. Honestly, you could do without it.
But armed photon torpedoes, and yeah.
And now they have literally no effect.
Yes, none.
Even though they completely decimated with... And also,
phasers.
I just realized, they use the miniature with massive damage. They do a close-up of a little bit of hull repairing, and within like a minute, all of the damage has been repaired. That's a lot of damage they repaired in about 1 minute. Like, that's a massive amount of good. I thought it was still a damaged cube they were shooting at, but no, it's a completely repaired cube. Even though it should have been fixed when they left. They shouldn't have used the same damaged cube model. That was a mistake as well. Boo. And what's with those explosions?
Bye, anti-checker.
Oh, bye. We love you too. I assume he said he loves us.
No, he didn't.
Oh.
It's fine.
But Stuart, what's with those explosions? Those really bad explosions. And those are like several miles, those are like half a mile each. Those are massive explosions.
Yes.
It's such bad effect, so this really does not hold up. And you would think they'd put effort into the first Borg episode. Like, these really look bad.
Yeah.
Because it's just a still image of the cube zooming in with still frames of explosions going in. It's really, really poor. Like, it's like 1 out of 10 poor.
But they are going warp 9.65. It's worth pointing out.
No shaking like the NX-01, though.
No. And then we get to see they get attacked by this beam, which doesn't really cause any damage. It was designed specifically to drain their shields. I don't know if this is ever really mentioned again. It's usually like a solid beam, not a pulse. So this is the first time, like the only time we see this pulse kind of effect. And it's cool seeing it from the Borg point of view, chasing the Enterprise. That was a great shot.
The perspective's all wrong, but that's okay because it's just...
Yeah.
It's cheap and cheerful, but it works. Yeah, I like the idea of this, although I wish they'd use it, once more. But you can imagine Wolf 359, it's just firing like 8 of these at any given time, and all the shields go down in the first like 5 minutes. It's like, yep, shit, all of our shields are down.
Lieutenant Aldrich throws in $2 with no comment, but thank you.
Uniform. Cool. And two great things. Deborah says they adapted to the phone torpedoes, and Thanasis mentions, not to mention, the Borg hadn't had a phone torpedo fired before. How do they adapt? Yeah, my assumption is that they scanned, and therefore every weapon at that point was useless, although the phasers worked. But maybe they turned their shields on? I don't know. It does feel a bit weird that they adapt to a weapon they haven't used before. A little bit disingenuous.
Yeah.
But I do also like the fact that they're now just completely irrelevant, but that's not really how hull plating works. You can't really adapt. They should have had shields, It should have been shields flaring. I don't know how a torpedo doesn't do anything to a physical hull.
Yeah. Jarzia throws in $2 Canadian. We see those pulses fired at the Delta Flyer. Okay, cool.
They also destroy it, though. Like, the last one also hits it and destroys it. So I think they're also weapon pulses.
Okay.
I remember that saying exactly. I think they're just actual just disruptors. I think these are more unique. But I love in 3 hits, they basically blow the shields.
Yeah, the shield goes down by 12%, then 41%, and then, you can't outrun them. You can't destroy them.
Yeah.
You damage them, they regenerate, they keep coming. They are relentless.
Good lines. It's just weird to go from the last scene where they're walking around and doing nothing to this scene. It's like, who cares, dude? Ah!
Yeah. But then they lose shields and warp engines.
2 different hits, which I love. Each does
Mhm.
each. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. And without our shields at this proximity, it is likely that a photon torpedo explosion would destroy the Enterprise.
But why do they
Oh.
say that?
I don't know. Didn't
Because
write a note for it.
they're out of warp, and Riker says, "Arm more torpedoes." Worf's like, "Yes, sir." And it's like,
Yes.
the last 33 didn't work. Why are you grinning as if this? And then they say, "Without shields." It's like, why would you think this would work? It just doesn't play well either. But yes,
Yeah.
they'll blow up if they do.
Yes. Prepare to fire. And then, yeah, he switches spots with Data, which I love.
So unnecessary, but it's great.
Yeah, I'll be leaving now. I thought you guys could handle it, or you guys said you could handle it, so handle it.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Q, end this.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you think I love that. this look on his face like, what makes you think I'm either capable or inclined to end this encounter? If we die here and now, you will not be able to gloat.
Yeah.
Nice try, Picard, trying to play to his vanity. I like that. You wanted to frighten us? We're frightened. You wanted to show us we were that.
Yes.
You wanted me to say I need you? I need you.
That's a good little bit of acting by Patrick Stewart as well.
Yeah. James Miguel puts in $4.99.
Oh, thank you.
Borg seem to adapt quickly to high-tech weapons. What about basic low-tech weapons, guns, and hand weapons and swords? Oh, here's go with this debate again.
Hey, put in $5, so we've got to talk about it for at least a minute.
Yeah, we've talked about this many times. Projectiles. I mean, in First Contact, the projectiles with the fail-safes off in the holodeck kill the Borg, and people are like, well, they'd be able to easily adapt against that. To which I agree. Different velocities, different calibers. Does each one have to be adapted for, or is it just a single impact? As for swords, we've seen Borg get their arms cut off before with mek'leths and things. So, but they never seem to shield against it. So it's a strange.
And it never seems to stick more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Shoot them again quickly. Because you would think they've dealt with enough people with swords that would be infinitely adapted to swords.
Yeah, you think swords and projectile weapons would be the thing they come up against most, because they even take out primitive worlds in their journeys, right?
I mean, to be fair, they probably don't, because after technology, they probably literally don't ever. I guess they only deal with powerful things, because why would they do small things? You know?
Maybe.
But for projectile weapons, everything is energy, kinetic energy. A bullet to a Borg is a kinetic energy going through their armor, and so they would shield against the kinetic energy of that force, and so therefore, yeah, you start with a low caliber bullet. But if you throw 50 cal against it, you break through it. But at some point, it would be able to shield against the kinetic force of the bullet. Yes, absolutely. And then swords, I mean, that's tricky because there's so little kinetic energy. You just have a generic force field. Because I mean, they can do just force fields. I mean, look at 7-9. They ran at her and she force fielded them away. So I mean, it's just general force fields as well. But at that point, they don't care. I mean, they can sacrifice a few Borg drones. It doesn't matter. You know, they're not gonna. You know, self-preservation is not the keen thing in a Borg cube's mindset.
Yeah, and just it's an ongoing debate why didn't they adapt to projectile weapons and the whole First Contact thing with the safeties off on the holodeck. I mean, it's come up many times over the years, and there's people on each side saying that they wouldn't adapt. So it's one of those debates.
But I mean, they adapt to everything eventually.
Yeah. Even humans do. We have Kevlar armor now to adapt against bullets. So, and we had shields to adapt against swords. I mean, yes, you learn to adapt. So
it's just shocking that they forget every encounter. Although we do argue that it's with Anti-Trekker actually about how it's a network thing, that the data doesn't surround the networks. There's too much information, too many updates. It just these things get lost. And the fact is, if you have to lose one drone to become adapted to a phaser, okay, okay, like you've got other things to think about. You don't need to bury your mental with one thing, because any possible engagement, I mean, think about it. They destroyed 20% of the Borg cube and then became resilient to every weapon. Okay, that was a fair trade, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, it didn't matter. and it's all repaired by the end of the battle. But I like the lack of aggression from the Borg in this bit. They just do the anti-power weapons basically, and they basically win. Like, it's effortless, really, if you think about it. I just like that tone.
But you gotta wonder too what's going through the Borg's collective consciousness at this point. We had these guys, we've scanned them, and all of a sudden they just blink and they're gone, or we tracked them as far as we could, and they are moving at an incredibly fast speed. Are they shielding something from us? Should we be going after these people? Maybe that's why it takes so long for them to decide to come and get us. But it would be an odd thing for if you didn't know what happened. So.
Oh yeah. But although we know that later on they say don't piss off the Borg, so the Q like to piss off the Borg sometimes, the annoying Qs. It's a fun pastime. But I can imagine that if this was like a post-Voyager, all the canon existed, that really they would phone home, say, hey guys, can we get a transwarp? We know they're going. Can we get a transwarp lift? And then a conduit opens, they go through. We see the warp. We see the delta, the hub. Sorry. They say, right, we tracked them to the Alpha quadrant, this quadrant, and then back through. Wouldn't that have been a great two-parter? It ends, and then after the Q leaves, a portal opens and the same Q comes in. They're like, shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But instead they got a starbase and a few ships, and it escalates because then they can disable it again because they've got more weapons. They're like, T-minus 4 hours till it regenerates. That would have been kind of cool. That could be a great fan film actually.
Let's go to different parts. Let's warp to different areas. Get the elements we need. There's 3 of them, 3 components we need to defeat the Borg. That's the mission in Bridge Crew.
Oh, I thought you were disable.
Okay. You disable the Borg cube, and you got to go pick up 3 components from different areas, and the cube regenerates and finds you each time, and you got to. It's just timing. It's a pain in the ass, but yes.
I thought you were referencing Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker, making a joke of how silly fetch quests can be.
No, I wasn't. But it's a video game trope, so.
Yes, it is. But yes, he snaps them back. And they're back.
We're back where we started. Exactly. Yay.
Yay,
Wesley, you got a line.
Yeah, did you notice how Wesley is on the bridge, then leaves the bridge, then back on the bridge?
Yeah.
He disappears for one scene for no reason. It's quite strange.
Then Q switches spots with Riker and says, another man would have been humiliated to say those words and would have rather died than asked for help. And Picard's rightly pissed. He's like, well, the lesson could have been learned without the loss of 18 of my crew. Well, if you can't handle a little bloody nose, maybe you should go back home and crawl under your bed. It's not safe out here. It's wondrous, with treasures and desires, both subtle and gross. It's not for the timid. So, I mean, great acting on Delancey part and Stewart's part.
It brings a new perspective in that you can't always just be outer exploration and think it's fine. And I really kind of liked that. I appreciate the vibe there.
It goes back to what with Doug Drexler, where it's like, why do they always have to be fighting? Why do you always have to be fighting people? You know, they're to explore. That's Star Trek. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to have a big stick in case somebody attacks you with an even bigger stick. It raises that whole thing because, yeah, they've been complacent till now. This is what really kind of showed them that.
Even though the Cardassian War happened like 2 years ago.
Yes, but they've been at peace for 2 years.
Oh, complacency is pretty quick in this era.
Well, it's just the Cardassians. They're kind of pussies when you think about it.
Oh, they are.
I just wrote a script today on the Galore class, and it's not there's not a lot of information. And I forgot we had done fact files on it, or data files.
Yeah.
I've completely forgotten that.
We've done a lot of stuff in the last 5 years, Stuart. Couple of things.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I thought this was a great scene actually, and definitely is one of the reasons this episode stands out as one of the better episodes. Just the Q and Picard moment.
Like I say, sharp. This is a script that was refined, and was many drafts, and it got the.
That's because it was supposed to be done forever ago, and they've had time. They had the Borg cube. They had everything ready. They're like, we can make this. Yeah.
And it was originally going to be the bugs, the alien crew, not the same, but different bugs. It was an idea that was, it was a different thing. But yeah, it feels really refined for those bits. And then he leaves, and then suddenly it goes from everything to We're fine now, happy days. It's like, oh, wow.
And you think it's going to be the end of the episode?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, just take us to Starbase. You know, we got to hold a fix.
Yep.
But
Post
just one. Yeah, just 1 second. Jarzia says, well, $5 Canadian. Thank you. Q went from antagonist to mentor. 18 lives aren't a lot in the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
Q taught a painful lesson, but he did it for Picard's humanity and own good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as Picard being taught a lesson by an omnipotent being, I feel bad that 18 people lost their lives. You know? But yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it was a good lesson. But if Picard just said yes to taking his help at the first time, he could have like got to know Q over several drinks, said, "Hey, show me a really cool thing." Takes into the Borg in a Q energy field that the Borg can't get into, and could have happened so much nicer, Picard, if you just said yes. You arrogant little shit.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, the episode doesn't end on a happy note. Even though it ends on a happy note, we get Guinan scene. Even though tonally it ends.
Yeah. And a non-chess game. It's something else. But I love this conversation too. Q set a series of events in motion. In time, you might be able to form a relationship with the Borg, but for right now, you're just raw material to them. And I thought the same thing. That it went a little bit quickly in that, because she knows that's what he wants to hear. He doesn't want to be the fighter. He doesn't want to have to. He's the one that wants to be able to talk with everybody, because that's the first thing he said. How do we let them know that we're not a threat? So I think that's why she said that. Since they are aware of your existence, they will be coming. Maybe Q did the right thing for the wrong reasons. Maybe we needed a kick in our complacency to prepare us for what lies ahead.
This feels like a reshoot, like an added scene.
A little bit, yes, I agree.
But it does add something. Yeah, it adds a lot actually. It just tonally it shifts horribly between the different pieces. And quick note, Dan23 says the original concept for the Borg was to be the bugs from Conspiracy episode, but they had to change the story. Not exactly. Yes. It was the Conspiracy aliens were the Scout, but not the same race. Yep. It was part of an organic multi-race thing, so they were not those bugs, but those bugs were part of like servants to these bugs.
Yes.
Not the same bugs. Otherwise, it'd just be the Conspiracy aliens, and you know what I mean. There wouldn't be that same sense. But yes, yeah, and then it just sort of ends with a pretty weird shot of the ship where it takes up like it's out of frame.
Yeah,
I don't understand why the framing is so bad in this shot.
It's considering they were just in 10 forward with those curved windows. Are they trying to imply in this shot that those curved windows are those ones in the neck there? Like, do they know where 10 forward is at this point? No, it was a weird shot to end on.
It's a shot they always take from here and they zoom in a bit. They've never once used it all the way out, except in this episode, and it doesn't look right, and that's why. They're like, shit, we're doing a bit of effect. And the episode ends, and it's amazing how there's positive music, there's bright, positive music when there's this dramatic Q moment. Tonally, this episode kind of shifts quite a lot, and that's another one of the less good shifts.
We're being yelled at in the chat by Jill. She says, "Please review Borg before Picard starts." Come on.
Probably, sure. I mean, it makes sense.
There's a watch list of the episodes you're supposed to watch before Picard starts, and I don't care.
I mean, obviously we remember most of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think Q's probably worth doing because Q's in the first three. We know he is. So.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch Endgame as well, just for funsies. We're not gonna review Endgame on the show yet. We're not gonna skip to the season finale of the last future TV show just cause, guys. Don't ask for that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna skip that far because part of this is actually seeing the evolution of these characters. That's why this is really exciting. Like, genuinely feeling it evolve. That's why doing the DS9 app was kind of like weird because all the expectations were all over the place.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go, Stuart. Yeah, and do you think any different, or what do you think of my review? What do you think of my thoughts on this one? Having heard me for 2 hours, so, I can be quite look and see things and such.
Yeah, well, generally I tune you out, so I'm just kidding. No, as usual, you make me think about things that I didn't really consider a lot of the time, and um, I can't think of anything specific offhand
No.
right now. But I mean, um,
But you don't think I
yeah,
was too unfair to it?
no, no. Usually, you can tell when I think you're too unfair because I'm kind of like, look at this thing over here that I can do. No, you were pretty much bang on this time. So yeah, no issues there.
Yeah. Because it's definitely obviously a great episode, but there are lots of little problems with it, and most of them stem from the wider Trek universe. And it needs a re-edit, honestly.
Yeah, that being said, it was way better than I anticipated it would be going into it. It really held together.
I think the good bits are better than you think, but the bad bits stick out more when you're really thinking about them. You're not meant to think about this, and this is a different Borg story to everything else. Once you get to Best of Both Worlds, now is the Borg. This is the Borg lowercase b, but very quickly it becomes a Borg uppercase b.
Yeah.
It doesn't take them long to become what they are, which is really laudable. Good job, them. Seriously, well done.
Well, Eugene puts 250 rubles in,
Thank you.
and he says a 9 out of 10. Not enough Worf and Q one-liners.
No.
Oh, they'll have the back and forth many times. Don't worry. I love the micro brain line. That was good.
It's so unnecessary, but it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, what is your bigger talking review? Any favorite bits, not favorite bits? Now you've got time to go into more detail.
Again, love the little how it starts. Kind of sets it up to throw you off guard, as you know. It's just kind of a quirky, thing, like hot chocolate issue. And then it immediately goes sideways with Q, which it always does. And again, that's fine. So there's like 3 elements to this episode that really kind of stand out as their own storylines. So it's great to see Q back. I love the idea of how he listened to Picard and he stayed away from his ship. He took the shuttle. Things like that. It was really well written, this episode. The thing with Geordi and the girl, it's like they were setting up for something, and maybe she was going to be a recurring character, which would have been kind of neat. Yeah. So that was kind of nice to see that. Again, bringing Guinan into this one was fantastic. Some great stuff from Whoopi Goldberg, and just the unexpectedness of the Borg. I mean, I remember watching this the first time and going, "Damn, the ship's so weird." How are they going to be able to defeat them, especially when the ship will start to regenerate itself? That's something that really sticks in my mind from when I was younger and seeing this the first time. Like, how can you stop these things? That being said, I do appreciate the old Borg aesthetic of the inside of the ship, a little bit brighter, not the standard plasma thing behind the head, but more of like the Borg display with I kind of like that, and I've forgotten how good that looked until now, because we've just been awash with other Borg stuff over the years that it just kind of all gets muddied.
It doesn't really make any sense to have consoles in a Borg ship. Like, it never felt genuine when I remember the episode where they attack the Borg probe, and it starts with a Borg drone holding a thing and pressing some buttons, and it's like, then it turns off its little screen and it's torn to Janeway. It's like, why is one drone doing a manual control when the ship is one big computer?
Yeah.
Like, that all feels completely disingenuous. So having there should be no controls. There should be no screens. No drone needs to see any information. It goes to his brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a great introduction to the Borg. Now, in hindsight, though, seeing what the Borg become with the assimilation and everything, this seems like the odd man out, just because it is the initial. You don't really get any sense of that, but they're still very mysterious. We still don't know exactly what's going on with them, so I don't really have too much of an issue with that. But again, pacing was pretty good. There was 1 or 2 hiccups as far as that went when they have to have a conference instead of getting the hell away.
Especially as it cuts from conference to scenes, and then back to the conference, as you can tell.
Back to conference.
Exactly the same scene. They just said, right, cut. Okay, we're going to skip to page 38, right? And action.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. It feels very lazy, but it isn't. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But it should have done one different angle just to make it feel different. It's just like...
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel there's really some questionable command decisions in this one, especially
horrifically.
And not listening to Guinan. It's like that meme of Spock and Kirk. Kirk says, "I want to do this thing. Should I do this thing? No, you should not do this thing. Okay, I'm going to do this thing." Feels like that. So, but other than that, I thought it was a great episode. Well written, great cinematography. The effects, the slicing out of the hull, that was fantastic for back then. That's another thing that really sticks in my mind. So overall, this is just hit for me. There might be one or two things that are kind of like, but overall, as a whole, I think it kind of squashes those, and it doesn't really affect it too much. So I really liked it. So I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10 for season 2.
Okay.
And I think for all of TNG, I'm definitely going to have to put this one around an 8. Because it is fantastic. It's definitely a one you need to watch if you're ever going to follow the legacy of the Borg. So it's definitely one that will be rewatched for all the time. And I think it definitely is good enough to have that done. So there you go.
Cool. Yes, guys, do put your scores now in the comments via Super Chat or not. Your review scores. We offer 2 scores, as it's been a little while, out of 10 for this season, and out of 10 for the entire show, because both are interesting metrics. So my thoughts are definitely fun to rewatch, and this is why I can just rewatch. It's a fun rewatch. Like I say, it is the odd one out, and there are lots of amazing swings and hits, and a lot of swings and absolute misses. The Guinan reaction, the lack of giving a shit on the Borg. Well, not that reaction, the other reaction. The lack of tension on the cube itself. The maturation chamber is really dumb. And these are things they were trying and failed. And obviously, if they had continued on the original concept, it would have, you would have seen more. You would have seen probably Borg children walking around, not reacting. Like, there would have been actual payoffs to these setups, but they'd swapped and did a different concept. Because really, the Borg we see next episode are about 50% this, 50% different.
Yeah.
And that's fine. They were refining, but those things really, because they go nowhere, do nothing. And they feel odd. And yeah, there's some weird moments, and the middle pacing is, the fact that Picard doesn't warp away is just bad writing. Like, because you can still, how many times have they scanned things? Do you remember in Discovery, they were able to scan a cloaked Klingon sarcophagus ship from outside your own space and know it was coming to you at warp? So tell me that you can't scan a Borg cube at warp far away.
That's Discovery. Shh.
Just sounds stupid when I say it, doesn't it? You can
I know.
Ship incoming. It's like, that's not. What do you mean? But yeah, I noticed lots of little problems in this one, but they are like, it's strong on some of its parts, but also when you break it down, there are lots of little weak bits. But then you get really strong script moments. So, like, it could be tightened in the edit, it could be refined a bit. I think it needed. But it's hell ambitious, for what it's trying to be. But also quite cheap. There's lots of like the first scene is so cheap, but it's so charming. I love the juxtaposition of the start and the end. It's great. But then tonally, some of the end stuff feels a bit weird. But Q is almost perfect with every line, which is impressive. He's not always that good.
That I will agree with, yes.
But he's really, although I think he's very much almost just a plot device in this one.
Yep.
His lines are more there for Picard to learn than him just being able to be Q. There's a little bit of that, but he does take on the role of he is the story to get you to the story. Rather than the story is just to enjoy being with Q and he can just have fun with the lines. So there's a little bit of a... So he's not, and like I said, I really wish they'd actually had one episode of him being a crew member. Well, this would be a 2-parter, there's things he could have done. So for me... let's have a look. Right, I will give this one for season 2 solid 9. Mostly because the script and the story in general and the weak bits are not overshadowing the good. But there's plenty of little weak bits, but they're diddly. All of TNG, I'm going to go a 7? 7. So again, one-ish lower than each time, because I think it's not that fun an episode. Once you know the information, it's not that much of a rewatch. There are other ones that are more fun to watch, more enjoyable. that fit better in the canon. You know, and like I said, the overall canon problems do factor in if you look at all of TNG, because then it doesn't fit into all of TNG because they can't. You know, but yeah, it's a good review, and I'm glad almost 200 of you joined us today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Speaking of, we will read some of your
Yes.
ratings here. We got an 8. We got a 9 out of 10 for Raj. 9 out of 10 for season 2, Jarzia. 8 out of 10 for TNG. Second best episode of the season, he says. Jill says, I think Borg is a masterpiece. TiVo77X. I give it an 8 out of 10, possibly a 9. 7.5 out of 10 for Zachary. Ozzy says 9 out of 10 for this episode, 10 out of 10 for Trekyards. One of the best episodes. Yes, Dream out there puts 9 out of 10, 4 out of 5, 4 lights out of 5, 8.5 out of 10. And let's see, we got a super chat from Cadmus67 who says, well, it's £10, so thank you very much.
Thank you, that's really generous.
£10 for a 10 out of 10 episode. As you've noted, it has 1 or 2 flaws, but it still is one that I can watch again and again and again. Yeah, and rewatchability and enjoyment factor are huge in my decision making for my scoring, and this is definitely one that you can just throw in. It doesn't feel like a season. It feels like they should have the raised collars. It feels like later later Trek.
I mean, it would take like a 5% change to make this a later season even better. You know,
Yeah.
A few small changes. Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go. So guys, I'd love to see 10 more bucks super chat if we can to end out this epic episode. That would be nice.
And Jarzia says, I think my PayPal is still in limbo. Don't know what's up with that. I think it looks suspicious on PayPal's end when small amounts keep coming in.
Oh.
So that's why super chats are sometimes better, or one PayPal, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it could look kind of sketchy on their end. So I think they're just being cautious, which is fine.
But we love you. Thank you. But tomorrow, going from one of the best episodes of TNG to another of the best episodes of TNG.
Samaritan Snare.
It's amazing how the contrast is like butting heads. You know, it's like if the child was up against Measure of a Man. If it's like one week to the other, the audience would be like, "Where the fuck was this show last week?" It's like, what?
Yeah. So next week, or next week, tomorrow, you will make us go.
But I have good memories out of this one. I remember enjoying it.
Yep.
We make fun of the creatures, but I have fun memories of this one. So I'm excited to actually watch it fully. And then to round off the 3 in a row, we have the Irish one.
Foot washing.
Yes, which I literally only watched the first time a year and a half ago. So this is my second time watching it. So that's exciting. The Irish one.
That'll be on Thursday, and then Friday, of course, we have the short trek Children of Mars that we'll be talking about. So lots to go on this week. Jill, though, 47 puts in $1.99. So thank you very much.
I like it. So now $8. Who wants to be the brave $8 person? We challenge you. We do. But yeah, I think we will have to do some slight researchy reviews on Picard before Picard. I think people will join us for those, and that's always important.
We have 1 week so we can fill with those instead of doing, the regular.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll definitely let you know what's going on next week.
Yeah.
So
because also we want to be prepared, and also we want you to enjoy. I mean, we're here, for you guys. This is fun for us, but we are here to be watched, to be enjoyed, and we hope we provided interesting anecdotes, interesting things to you all as well. We do hope. Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone.
But anyway, I don't think we're going to get the $8. And we've been going for 2.5 hours. It's longer than usual. And I got to go make food. So.
All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. We love you all. And say bye, my handsome Stuart friend.
Goodbye, my handsome Stuart friend.
Bye.
Bye.